Chapter 1. The rain was not heavy. A group of people were scanning the red meat-like thing with instruments. In addition to the sound of dripping rain, there were occasional screams. Monsters kept coming out to attack humans and eat their bodies. Those with weaker strength would be killed directly and then eaten. When others had no clue, Yunqiu had already found Kaneki Ken's location. Yunqiu, who had a transparent world, could find Kaneki Ken's location as easily as a radar scan. Yunqiu had just crossed over to this world, and he relied on the transparent world that was like a cheat to sneak attack from a purebred Yuhi little trash all the way and aid himself to the current SSS level. Because he knew the plot, Yunqiu waited in advance, tore off a large piece of Kami Shiro Rizukaki, and found an unscrupulous doctor to transplant it to himself. Fortunately, the ghoul had a strong recovery ability, otherwise he would have died on the operating table. Through the same method, she also got the scaled Keiku of the gecko, 2 SS level Keiku, and 1 SS level tail Keiku, and collected 4 types, 6 top-level Keiku packages, and became the desperate woman who was terrified by CCG. With her reputation, Yunqiu became more and more timid, mainly because Yunqiu had fought with Fanfiction 8 once. Although she won, she also realized the power of high-end combat power in this world. Yunqiu beat other people like a weakling, and directly shot with Keiku, sending them all to see the King of Hell. But it is still very difficult to fight the high-end combat power in these plots, especially Arima Takasho, who is not aware of his strength. He is afraid of being killed by Arima Takasho, so he can only hide. Relying on the spirit of greed for life and fear of death, she survived until Kaneki became the one-eyed king, and then started a war. Kaneki, who became a dragon, is more attractive than before, and more fragrant. Yunqiu tasted Kaneki's blood once, and finally understood why Yu Shishi couldn't eat anything else. The wild boar finally ate a mouthful of fine bran, who would want to eat the garbage from the beginning. Thinking that it was the end, it should be over soon, Yunqiu was driven by the sweetness in his memory to Kaneki Ken's side, holding his arm and drooling wildly. I'll just eat a mouthful. I'll run after eating. I'll come back after they're done fighting. Never eat too much, never affect Kaneki's later monster fighting. He thought so in his heart, but after Yunqiu tasted the taste, he lost his mind directly, and the original mouthful turned into an arm, or even a whole person. From a distance, a girl with long silver-white hair was lying on the ground eating something, and her skirt had long been soaked with blood. Kaneki Ken could feel someone gnawing at him, but he couldn't open his eyes, his body was heavy, and his consciousness was not clear. Seeing his body being torn apart, Yunqiu had already uncontrollably stretched his hand to his heart, and the world consciousness finally couldn't sit still. This is my protagonist. You are an outsider, just eat a little. You can't kill him. Originally, the world consciousness was somewhat dissatisfied with this powerful outsider, but it didn't know who put him in this world, so it could only be cowardly and pretend not to see it. Now this situation. If you keep pretending to be blind, even the son of luck will be killed. While the plot of the next world has not started yet and the world consciousness has not awakened, it directly opened a space-time rift and threw people over. Unlucky. Let's go quickly. Please don't come back, I'm scared. Yunqiu still had a trace of reason, and felt that he was pulled into a dark place, and then began to fall continuously. Fell to the ground with a snap. What the hell? It seems broken. It hurts. In order to repair his body, Yunqiu went into a deep sleep directly, and took a lot of Kaneki Ken's flesh and blood. The RC cells in his body were very active, which was enough to repair his body. When he woke up again, Yunqiu saw a wooden roof. Chapter 2. Yunqiu looked around and sat up. The surrounding environment looked so retro. Are you okay? Have a drink of water. A very gentle voice came. Yunqiu turned around and saw a woman in her 30s, wearing a kimono and looking kind. Yunqiu took the water, thanked her and just took a sip. After all, ghouls drink blood to replenish water, and this water is really hard to drink, like drinking swill. Although the surrounding environment is clean and spacious, there are rarely such houses in modern cities. No. This is not Tokyo. It may not even be modern. Yun Kaiu can still feel the pulling feeling before coming here. It feels like being stuck in a pipe, but being torn around. Moreover, there is no clock or other time display in this room. Generally, such items are placed in the living room or the most conspicuous place in the room. There is no clock or other time display in this room. Yun Qiu cleared his throat and started to get information. Thank you, Auntie. How come I am here? The old lady also explained the situation quickly. I went to the town to buy something and saw you lying in a pool of blood. Your clothes were dirty. I thought you were a bandit who came down the mountain to rob. When I got closer, I found that you had no wounds on your body. I asked a doctor to see you. He said that you were fine. Seeing that your clothes were dirty, he helped you change. Outside. Yun Kaiu nodded and quickly found an identity for herself. I was moving with my family, and we encountered robbers, got separated halfway, and fell down the mountain. Thank you, Auntie, for bringing me back. What time is it now? My brother and the others must be looking for me. They must be worried if it's been too long. Auntie seemed to be recalling, I brought you back yesterday afternoon, and I didn't hear anyone looking for someone nearby. You may have to spend some time looking for your family. Auntie. I actually want to know the year. You can at least tell me the date. Yun Kaiu didn't ask too much, so she could only nod and thank him. Auntie, where are my clothes from before? There are important things in them, I can't lose them. Hearing Yun Kaiu mention clothes, Auntie took out a package from the cabinet behind her, which contained a clean long skirt and a white windbreaker. The most important thing is mobile phone. Pick up the phone. Yun Kaiu turned it on and found that there was no network and the data was useless, so she had to put it back again. The body has recovered. In a strange place, it is best to understand the situation quickly. Yun Qiu took off her pair of gemstone earrings and put them in the hands of the old lady. Thank you for saving my life. This pair of earrings is to thank you for saving me. I have to leave quickly to find my family. Yun Qiu got the earrings from a jewelry store. They are pure sapphires and are ridiculously expensive. However, for Yun Qiu, they are just beautiful decorations that can be taken whenever she wants. The old lady seemed to be frightened by Yun Qiu's generosity and refused to return them to her. After the two argued, the old lady kept one earring and gave Yun Qiu some money, enough for 2 or 3 days of food. The moment she got the money, Yun Qiu knew that something was wrong. Why does this money look like something in a history book? Could it be that she really went back to the past? No wonder there is no network on the phone. Has love not been invented yet? How can Yun Qiu, a stay-at-home girl, kill time? How can I survive? My cell phone is my lifeblood. I forced myself to say goodbye to my aunt, but when I turned around, I saw the rolling mountains. There was not a single tall building, nor a single electric wire. What kind of mountain valley is this? I am devastated. My family. Yun Kaiu felt like she was going to break apart. Ghouls don't live long. I have been hiding for so long, and I have survived, but this is not the way to live. It is daytime now, and Yun Kaiu cannot fly. After all, ghouls are forbidden to eat humans in any world, not to mention in such a backward era. If she flies, won't she be regarded as a monster? Chapter 3. By asking along the way, he determined the direction of a relatively large town nearby and headed towards it. After entering the mountain, Yun Kaiu released Yuhi and began to travel through the woods at a very fast speed, and it was impossible to catch his figure. Yuhi is Yun Kaiu's natural herb, so his control is stronger than other herb. With Yuhi, he traveled much faster than before, and reached the other side of the mountain before dark. Looking at the large green fields at the foot of the mountain, there are many people busy in it. It seems to be a relatively rich town. After going down the mountain, he found that these people were staring at him. Yun Kaiu checked his clothes and there was no problem. He was still wearing the clothes of an ant's daughter. He was only 166 centimeters tall and only 24 years old. It was not strange to wear pink, right? Yun Kaiu soon came to a conclusion: he was too beautiful. It's no wonder Yun Kaiu is conceited. Her face is the ceiling of pure desire. With this head of white hair, she will definitely be the heroine in a romance drama. But in Tokyo GHOUL, alas! I am a cannon fodder, so I can only survive. I asked a teenage girl for directions and found out that there is no bookstore in this town. Bookstores have always been the best place to get information. This place looks big, but it seems that it is just a place with a large population and poor development. After asking around, I found a place to stay. Fortunately, Yun Kaiu had eaten a lot before, so she was not very hungry and didn't want to kill people casually. Lying on the bed, I thought about where to go next. Listening to these people chatting, it seemed that it was not very peaceful now, and it was difficult to have enough food. Since I am here, I will make the best of it and survive. Yun Kaiu was sleeping soundly, but was awakened by something pinching her neck. The two scales immediately tore her clothes and chopped the thing that was pinching her into scallion segments. The black and red Kagun eyes saw the thing on the ground, and vaguely revealed surprise. What is this? It's so ugly. Is such an ugly thing a human? It was clearly broken into pieces, but the blood pieced the body fragments together. Although it was slow, it was indeed repairing. Could it be a ghoul? But the smell was wrong. Yun Chu got out of bed directly and pried open the eyes of the head on the ground. The eyeballs were pitch black. It's not a ghoul? Could it be a new species? Seeing it repairing, Yun Chu broke it again, as if it couldn't be killed. There was no way, Yun Chu could only use Yuhi to fix this thing on the ground, and only made a separate Kagun trap to ensure that it would not escape. He planned to see what was going on tomorrow. He lay on the bed in a daze and continued to sleep. The next day, the sun shone through the window, shining on the ground, burning the weak ghost to ashes. Ding! Kill a ghost, system activated. The sudden sound startled Yun Kaiu, who was sleeping soundly, and he jumped out of bed. Warning! The host's strength has deviated, and the cause has begun to be checked. Then, Yun Kaiu felt something sweeping across his body, light but still felt. Mission: survive to the end. Achievement: dominate one side, and be feared. Achieved. Rewards are being distributed. The series of operations was so fast that Yun Kaiu had no time to react, but it seemed that his system had arrived. But he seemed to have cleared the level, and now it was the scene of the winning MVP settlement. Yun Kaiu cleared his throat. System, can you explain the current situation? Silence. System? Hello? Are you still there? Host, please be quiet, this system is organizing language. It is a system with personality. Chapter 4. After 4 or 5 minutes, the system spoke again. This system is called the Overlord system. Do you know how to name it? I am embarrassed to brag about it when you call me that. How can a little girl like me have a turtle system like yours? Fortunately, the system can't hear the complaints in my heart, otherwise I will definitely argue with her for a long time. The host was supposed to cross over into Demon Slayer to carry out the mission, but due to the system positioning error, the host entered Tokyo GHOUL. No wonder I have a transparent world. It feels like the system has opened a cheat for me. Once the transparent world is opened, ghouls and humans can be distinguished in minutes, and there is no need to smell them with your nose. The main task, survive to the end, has been completed, and the achievement has been lit up, and the crossing task has ended. Now issue rewards and settle accounts. Get rewards, immortal body, can be reborn with a drop of blood, immortal. Hearing this, Yunqiu was almost moved to tears. Finally, there is some hope. Before crossing over, Yunqiu had a serious illness and had no money to treat it, so he could only wait to die. That's why he cherishes his second life so much and works so hard to improve his strength, but he is too timid to go out. Now, the seal is lifted, and I'm going out to have fun. Get reward, devour, you can eat human food, but you can't replenish RC cells. The body of a ghost contains a large number of RC cells, and you can maintain your life by devouring ghosts, and you may get rare blood ghost arts. Not bad, longevity plus power equals invincible in the world, the system is very popular with me. The most important thing. You can eat. Finally, it's not eating human flesh. Finally, I can eat something else, but I don't know if the taste will return to normal. Get reward, assimilation, you can use blood to assimilate people into ghouls, and randomly get Kakuzo, and the host has absolute control, similar to the control of Muzan Kibutsu over ghosts. I understand this. A must-have skill for a scumbag boss. Yunqiu's way of survival is learned from him. He doesn't ask to be exactly the same, but only to save his life. If there is something, just let it go and solve it, never do it yourself. What I want is a cool style. Get reward, SSS level cook's punishment, with 4 forms of knife, sword, shield, and bow, which can be used to kill demons and ghouls. Weapon +1. Yunqiu has learned sword, but he just gestured, not proficient. Come to Demon Slayer, I must learn some breathing techniques. I don't know if Tsugakoku Yuichi is still there. Will he chop me? After all, I also eat people. After waiting for a while, I found that there was no sound system. Is there no reward? Yes, this system is unbinding, leaving in 3 minutes, the host can ask about related matters. System, are you daily throwaway? You have been here for less than an hour, and you don't even sit down to drink tea before leaving? Or give me some more cheats. It's better to ask something serious. What time is it now? Where has the plot developed? It's the Warring States period now. Muzan has become the Demon King, and Tsugakoku Yoriichi will be born in 72 years. What do you say when you suddenly become an ancient person? Then can I change the plot? Will I be punished? You can change it. There are many derivative worlds like this. The time travelers change the plot in different worlds without affecting each other. The system's words made Yunqiu a little strange. Why? What is the purpose of time travel? Find the best ending and maintain the balance of the two-dimensional world. Is it acceptable? My phone is out of power and network, is there any way? The system seemed to be stunned for a moment, and then still answered calmly, as a reward, it can automatically store power and connect to the network synchronously. By host. Chapter 5. The system came and went quietly, but helped Yunkai to fully charge her phone. With the internet, the first thing she did was to check the news. The internet seemed to be connected to Tokyo, but the speed was super fast and very easy to use. However, both worlds were virtual worlds, and the history was also somewhat different, so it could only be used as a reference. After searching for a long time, Yunkai finally decided where she wanted to go. Not long after she left, she discovered a big problem. No money. All the money was spent on housing, and that little money was not enough to spend, and it was gone in 2 days. The only things worth money on her body were earrings and diamond rings. There was only one earring left, and Yunkai found a pawn shop and sold it directly, and got a lot of money, but it was still not enough. In the past, when she had no money, she would rob those ghouls. Anyway, whoever had the bigger fist had the final say, and they didn't dare to call the police if they were robbed. But now, the world is in chaos, robbing money is life-threatening, and those without money simply can't get enough food, which is equivalent to cutting off their livelihood. Just bear with it for now, it's not like there's no chance to eat. The mobile navigation doesn't work, but the compass should be okay, right? At night, as soon as the compass was turned on, Yuhi flew directly, and the speed was still very fast. It took 3 days to reach Tokyo today. In the future, this can only be regarded as a well-developed town, but here it is already a prosperous area. The night is the home of ghosts. Yunkaiu originally wanted to walk a distance to Tokyo, but he heard a giggling sound in the woods, and it was getting closer and closer. The nose of the ghoul is also special, and it can smell the difference between humans and non-humans. The smell is fishy and obviously not human. It seems, it's another ghost. The figure is getting closer and closer, and is about to bite off the neck of the prey with a pounce, but is hit hard to the ground by an unknown object, and cannot move. Yunqiu looked at this humanoid monster who was weaker than a D-level ghoul and was choked by his tail. He was not interested. There were no 12 demon moons at this time, right? What's your name? Yunqiu only got a scream in response. It seemed that everything made by Muzan was garbage. Yunqiu just ran out of money, so he searched this guy and didn't find a penny. Poor guy. Poorer than himself. He took out the heavenly punishment from the system backpack and tried to stand 100 meters away and shoot the ghost with a bow. I can only say that the aim was not very good. It shot in the stomach and went straight through the middle. The high temperature burned the ghost to death. The system was quite reliable. Although it left a backpack of 10 cubic meters, which could hold a lot of things. I usually put cookin in it and take it whenever I need it. Sure enough, making money is the first necessity no matter where you are. Entering Tokyo, there are still many people walking on the street at night, and the food and accommodation are finally decent. Yunkaiu found a cart vendor, ate some udon noodles, and then climbed over the wall into the house to rest. You get used to it after doing it more. Yunkaiu was embarrassed before, but now he can skillfully distinguish where there are people and where there are no people. He stayed in Tokyo for more than a year, robbed many robbers during this period, and ate the murderers he met as food. There are also many ghosts, and their strength seems to have become stronger, but for Yunkaiu, they are still rookies. The accumulation of wealth always makes people happy. The Demon Slayer core here is not as mature as CCG, and he doesn't have to hide from place to place. In the eyes of the Demon Slayer core, there are no ghosts in broad daylight. So Yunkaiu is not panicked at all. And in Yunkaiu's hunting ground, Tokyo is much more peaceful, at least no ghost dares to eat people here. Muzan also noticed the situation here, but since Yunkaiu always used a knife to chop ghosts, Muzan thought that the members of the Demon Slayer core in this area were stronger, so he sent a lot of ghosts here, but all of them died, so he simply gave up this place. Chapter 6. Immortality is indeed good, but there are many disadvantages over time. Even though Yunqiu rarely goes out, there are still rumors that the owner of Beiwa House seems to be immortal and never needs to eat. Yunqiu is really speechless. Why are there such gossipy people in every era? I just stay at home a little bit. I usually go out to eat. And sometimes I am too lazy to go out. Yunqiu even hired 2 children to knock on the door at mealtime to help order food. They are exclusive Meituan riders. A monthly salary of 100,000 yen is good. However, I have lived in this area for a long time, and even have a lot of industries. They are all earned by saving a little bit from the money in the hands of the robbers and then investing. After more than 30 years, it is really time to move. Do it right away, organize the things you need, put the rest here, and let the people under Beiwa House help watch and clean occasionally. This place will develop sooner or later. Beiwa House has a good location. I will definitely come to live here in the future. Yunqiu calculated the time. It was only 23 years since Jiguo Yuanyi was born. In these 23 years, Yunqiu traveled everywhere. When he ran out of money, he would go back to get it. He often helped some poor children, which was also a peace of mind for himself. The Demon Slayer Corps seemed to have developed to a certain scale. Occasionally, you can see those people. They are not proficient in swordsmanship, but they are all half-grown children. After living for a long time, everyone looks like a child. Even though Yunqiu now looks only 17 or 18 years old, he is actually a man in his 70s. Alas! Women really can't be asked about their real age. Recently, I just moved to a new house. Next door is Jiguo's family, a samurai family, and his wife is pregnant. Soon, Yunqiu established a good relationship with them. The transparent world can see clearly that there are two boys inside, which should be Jiguo Yuanyi and Jiguo Yanzheng. Yunqiu was afraid that they would find out, so he transformed his body into a child of about 7 years old and found a housekeeper to take care of him at any time. Akeno, the mother of the two brothers, felt sorry for the child who lost his parents, so she was particularly concerned about Yunqiu. Soon the day of delivery arrived. Yunqiu wanted to witness the birth of this future boss who would scare Muzan, so she stayed outside the door and waited. Jiguozu was a male chauvinist and thought that childbirth was an unlucky thing to see blood, so he avoided it. Hearing the screams inside, Yunqiu was terrified. Although she had suffered a lot of injuries, she was inexplicably panicked when she heard the word giving birth. The crying of the child came, and the servants came out holding the child. Yunqiu leaned over to take a look. The newborns looked exactly the same and could not be distinguished, but one had a red mark on the forehead. This should be Yunyi. He poked his face, and then went to see Jiguo Yanzheng, who was also a milky dumpling. But when Lord Jigoku saw the stripes on Yuichi Tsugakuku's head, he wanted to kill this ominous child. Yunqiu knew that Akeno would stop him, so he stood by and watched. Soon Lord Jigoku gave an order to lock up Yuichi Tsugakuku and send him to a temple after he turned 10. Yunqiu actually didn't want to change too much of the plot. They have their own storyline. Yunqiu just wanted to change the things that she felt sorry for. For example, the Butterfly Sisters, Akaza and Koyayaki, Jiudaru and Mei. Time passed little by little. Similar to the original plot, Yuichi discovered Akeno's illness and often supported her. Yunqiu actually asked Akeno if she wanted to cure her illness and live longer. But Akeno didn't seem to want to. She was willing to obey the arrangement of fate. Yunqiu has been in Demon Slayer for so long, and has never assimilated anyone, because she feels that there is no need to let this world inexplicably have another ghoul who eats people. Yunqiu is already immortal, and the ghouls assimilated with his blood also have a longer lifespan, not much different from the demons created by Muzan. It's just that ghouls are not afraid of sunlight and have Kakuha, while demons are afraid of sunlight and can awaken blood demon arts. Chapter 7. Akeno thought that Yuichi couldn't hear, so she sewed the sun earrings, which made Muzan tremble when he saw them. Yunqiu immediately pestered Akeno to teach her. Akeno's health was not very good, and making a pair was already hurtful enough. She learned it herself and made it in batches. Then I want to wear 3 in one ear. Earrings are very complicated to make, and Akeno also took a long time to learn. Knowing that Yunqiu is impatient, she just asked her to wait for her to make them. Over the years, Yunqiu has been like a daughter, noisy but caring, very different from the two silent sons. Akeno likes Yunqiu very much. Although Jiguo Yuichi can see that Yunqiu is different, her body structure is different from that of humans, and there are 6 abnormally active mark points. But Yunqiu is very good to her family, and Jiguo Yuichi has no concept of ghosts, so he just thinks she is different. Every time Yunqiu eats someone, she dare not come for at least 3 days, because she is afraid that Jiguo Yuichi will see the activity of her body cells. When I went to Jiguo's home again, the 2 brothers were practicing swords. Jiguo Yanzheng had been learning since he was young and worked very hard to become the most powerful swordsman. But Jiguo Yuanyi only watched once and learned how to start and how to attack, and even defeated experienced warriors. The treatment of the two brothers changed drastically, and Jiguo Yansheng, who was only 7 years old, could not accept it at all. The gap between talent and hard work was so huge, and he had obviously worked very hard. Yun Kaiu looked at Yansheng, who was squatting in the corner and crying quietly, and felt very strange. How to say it, the big brother I thought was still a little kid now, one pretended to be dumb and didn't speak, and the other cried because of the gap. It's really, contrast cute. Yansheng, don't cry, I'll take you to play, okay? Yun Kaiu, who had never coaxed a child, could only use some old-fashioned words to coax the child, but it was obvious, it didn't work. Jiguo Yansheng cried even harder. It was night time now, and it was pitch black outside. No one would notice if he went out, right? Yun Chu walked over and hugged Jiguo Yansheng, who was not even as tall as his shoulders, in his arms. Then he spread his wings and flew into the air. Jiguo Yansheng was startled by the sudden flight, and the knife in his hand fell to the ground. His nervous hands tightly grasped Yun Chu's clothes. Perhaps because he was too shocked, Jiguo Yansheng stopped crying. Ah! What's going on? Why can you fly? Put me down. He hadn't flown out of the city-state yet. If he kept shouting like this, he would be discovered sooner or later. If you keep shouting, I'll let go. Sure enough, after hearing this, Jiguo Yansheng covered his mouth with both hands, his eyes wide open, and he looked dazed, which made Yun Chu blush. There was a very high mountain on this side. Every morning, the sun would shine from the other side of the mountain. Yun Kaiu planned to take him to see the sunrise, so that he wouldn't be trapped in that yard to practice sword every day. What's the point of practicing? You can't beat Jiguo Yuichi, and you can't eat it. Life is short, so enjoy it while you can. Sister Yun Kaiu, where are we going? On the mountain, I'll take you to see the world. Jiguo Yansheng didn't intend to call Yun Kaiu sister, but her mother clearly corrected her, and Yun Kaiu was very strong, so she beat Yansheng several times secretly, and finally he obeyed. Sure enough, the bigger the fist, the better. The two were waiting and talking on the mountain. Jiguo's family at the foot of the mountain was in chaos. Akeno heard Yunshen's cry and came out to see only the wooden sword dropped on the ground. Anxiously asked the servants to find it, but they didn't find it. Tsugakoku Yoriichi hesitated for a moment. Actually, Yoriichi had just seen the two of them in the air and knew that Yun Kaiu was special, so he secretly concealed some details and told his mother, brother, and sister Yun Kaiu are out, there's no problem. Azuno confirmed several times, and then went to the next door to ask. The housekeeper was quick to respond and said that Miss Yun Kaiu took Yansheng to the mountain to catch fireflies and sent samurai to follow them, so there would be no problem. Azuno was relieved. Chapter 8. Yansheng, why are you crying? Jiguo Yansheng lowered his head, not daring to look into Yun Kaiu's eyes. Being jealous of him or something, such a mentality is too dark, and Yansheng didn't want to tell Yun Kaiu. Yun Kaiu knew the story between the two brothers. Jiguo Yansheng spent his whole life chasing the sun, forgetting himself and the brilliance of the moon. Perhaps, the two brothers were not good at expressing themselves, so they went wrong step by step. Perhaps it was their father's fault that led to the current ending of the two brothers. In any case, Yun Kaiu felt that he had to change something. Does Yansheng think I'm pretty? Yun Kaiu's nonsensical question made Yansheng not quite understand, but he answered honestly, pretty. There may be people who are prettier than me, but the only one who thinks I'm the prettiest is me. Yansheng looked at her confident and arrogant look, and actually wanted to tell her that he also thought she was the prettiest, but he was not good at expressing himself, so he just watched quietly. Even if you are not as talented as Yuichi, you are unique in my heart. Yuichi is the sun, you are the moon, you are both unique, and the moon also has its own brilliance. Yansheng knew what Yun Kaiu meant, but he couldn't help feeling sad. Compared to the sun, the moon is nothing. Yo! This kid is quite tangled. The sun can't be looked at directly, because its light will burn others, but the moon can. The moon is very gentle, just like you. Yun Kaiu was actually right. We can only see their miniatures in the anime, and we found out after getting along that what we see is not necessarily all. Yuichi's gentleness is hidden in the subtleties, and he won't say it out, so we have to discover it ourselves. Yunshen's gentleness is hidden in his eyes. Whether it is to his relatives or Yun Kaiu, Yansheng always looks at them with gentle eyes and follows them with his eyes. It's just that in order to meet his father's expectations, Yansheng constantly squeezes himself, constantly demands himself, and gradually becomes numb to the people around him and becomes formulaic. Yansheng finally couldn't hold back anymore, tears couldn't stop falling, and he hugged Yunqiu's arm tightly. Why? My father is always dissatisfied with me. I've been trying. What I tried so hard to keep, Yunyi can get easily. This is unfair. I hate him. My mother likes him, my father values him, even the teacher has been praising him. I have nothing. Yansheng was surprisingly fragile and sensitive when he was a child. Yunqiu took out his mobile phone and secretly took a close-up of Yansheng's 9-square diagram. This will be his black history from now on. Yunqiu patted his back to comfort him. Yi likes you very much. You have to believe this. He keeps the flute you gave him well. Really? Would I lie to a child? Yansheng looked at Yunqiu suspiciously, nodded, but shook his head under Yunqiu's death smile. Maybe because he cried for a long time, Yansheng fell asleep directly. Yun Kaiu put a piece of clothing on him and started taking pictures of him. When he grows up, she will definitely show him how cute he was when he was a child. Yun Kaiu was like a weird sister. She took pictures with her phone and then started to Photoshop them with an evil smile. Yun Kaiu has an album in her phone, which is specially created for the two brothers to record their daily lives. It is called the Big Brother's Diary. The next day, the sun gradually rose, rendering the sky red. Yun Kaiu woke Yansheng up. Seeing the sunrise, Yansheng was obviously very excited. Yun Kaiu pointed to the sky and looked up. There was still a moon hanging. The light was weak, but it did not lose its light because of the sun. Chapter 9. Akeno's health is getting worse and worse. Yun Kaiu looks at her weak body and can't help but sigh at the fragility of life. Yun Kaiu likes Akeno very much. Although this person is much younger than herself, she is a very gentle and powerful person. For so many years, Yun Kaiu has avoided having strong emotions with humans because humans have a short lifespan and her own lifespan is very long. The sadness of loss, again and again, is a torture to the spirit. Without extreme joy, there will be no grief. Akeno, do you want to live? Say yes. You want to live. Akeno, for your child, choose to become a ghoul. Stay with me, okay? Akeno shook her head and gently stroked Yun Kaiu's cheek. Life is gorgeous because it is short. Maybe this is my fate. Yun Kaiu, don't be too sad. Yansheng and Yunyi will accompany you. Juno knew that Yun Kaiu had no sense of security and treated her as a friend, so every time she called her, she used her name instead of honorifics. Why? Isn't it good to be alive? Why don't sick people want to live? Akeno's breathing gradually weakened, and the three people sat around her, their eyes full of sadness. After his mother left, Yunyi began to pack his luggage and planned to leave this place. Yunyi knew that his brother wanted to be a swordsman and become a very powerful person. With him around, his father would never see his brother's efforts. So leaving is the best choice. Yun Kaiu knew that he was going to leave, and stood on the road he had to pass and waited. Looking at him, Yun Kaiu didn't know what to say. Could it be that he was asked not to kill himself in the future? It's too weird. All the words came to Yun Kaiu's mouth, and Yun Kaiu just said, Yuichi, be careful. Yuichi nodded, gave Yun Kaiu a hug, and left her sight. Yun Kaiu returned home and saw Yanzheng sitting on the doorstep, holding the letter left by Yuichi. What's wrong? Sitting here. Yanzheng didn't know how to describe his emotions. His relationship with Yuichi has improved a lot in the past 2 years, and Yanzheng has accepted his decision to send him to the temple. But what he didn't expect was that Yuichi left early, leaving a letter and leaving without saying goodbye to anyone. It's obviously me who should leave, Yuichi. Yuichi is an insensitive child, and Yanzheng is a highly sensitive child. This is the conclusion Yun Kaiu came to. Yanzheng has always used a tough and powerful appearance to decorate his heart. Over time, he has forgotten what he wants and what he is like. This is his choice. The successor state leader searched for a long time and didn't find anyone, but Yun Kaiu knew where Yuichi was. Since Yoriichi left, Iwakatsu has become meticulous and perfect in his work, but he still cannot meet his father's expectations. Perhaps this is the root of human inferiority. With such an excellent child as Iwakatsu, they fantasize that if Yoriichi is here, he will be even better. Iwakatsu gradually grew up, and Jiguo began to arrange a marriage for him, but he was rejected. Logically, Tokaido Muchiro is his descendant. Could it be that fate has not yet arrived? Yun Kaiu was just confused for a moment, and did not think much about it, and continued to live a carefree life. Until Jiguo brought people to Yun Kaiu to propose marriage. Yun Kaiu realized that Jiguo Iwakatsu had not married because he liked her. What should I do? Directly change a big plot. Mist pillar. Gone. Jiguo Iwakatsu is indeed very handsome, looks in her own aesthetic point, and is also very gentle. But let Yun Kaiu turn him into a ghoul. Yun Kaiu doesn't know if he will accept it. Originally, Yanzheng would definitely choose to become a demon in pursuit of power, but now that he no longer has that obsession, Yun Kaiu doesn't want him to become a man-eating ghoul. Chapter 10. Yun Chu asked the housekeeper to delay first, saying that as the only heir of Beiwa House, he needed to consider marriage carefully. Beiwa House has developed rapidly in recent years. Its main industry is responsible for food, clothing, housing, and transportation, which are the necessities of life. Now, with the efforts of its subordinates, it has become a big family. The successor to the country can accept this reason. After all, the child has no relatives, so it is normal to be cautious. After Yun Chu fooled the successor to the country, he went to find Yan Sheng and wanted to have a good talk with him. The two sat on the top of the mountain. The former child was much taller than Yun Chu and looked at him softly. Yan Sheng, why do you want to marry me? Those girls are much better than me. Yun Chu was telling the truth. After all, Yun Chu couldn't play the piano or embroider. At most, she could hold a knife and gesture with Yan Sheng. Because I like you, you are very special to me. Ah? That's it? Yun Kaiu wanted to hear some love words, but she didn't expect this guy to only say this. Love doesn't last forever. I'm going to leave for a while. If I come back and you still like me, we'll get married. Yan Sheng didn't ask the reason, but just agreed to her words and waited for Yun Kaiu to come back. Yun Kaiu now has other things to do, that is to save Yuichi Tsugakoku's wife, Yuta. After leaving, Yun Kaiu went to the place in her memory. She secretly went to see Yuichi, but rarely went there after being discovered by Yuichi. Yun Kaiu has lived too long and doesn't have a strong sense of time, so Yun Kaiu is late. Before she got close, Yun Kaiu smelled the smell of blood in the air, very fresh and very light. Damn it! I'm such a pighead. Could it be that I'm late? Yun Kaiu controlled Yuhi to speed up, rushed forward like lightning, and directly smashed the door of the house. After entering, I saw an ugly ghost lying on Yuta, biting Song's arm, and there was a big hole in his chest. Song was in so much pain that she couldn't move. Her amniotic fluid broke, and the baby hadn't been born yet. If she waited too long, the baby would suffocate. He waved his scaled keiku and directly beat the ghost into blood and absorbed it. But Song had stopped breathing. If she wanted to save her life, she could only turn her into a ghoul, and her body was too damaged, so she didn't know if she could bear it. Suddenly, she felt her stomach move slightly, and the baby was still alive. Yun Kaiu didn't know how to give birth at all, but now she could only have a cesarean section to take the baby. Yun Kaiu took Yuhi's keiku, turned it into a sharp blade, and with the blessing of the transparent world, she cut Song's skin layer by layer. I wasn't so nervous when I ate people for the first time, but now Yun Kaiu was helping to deliver a baby, and her hands were shaking. As the last layer of diaphragm was cut open, the child's body was exposed. Since Ji was already dead, Yun Kaiu's incision was very large, and the child was easily taken out. Yuichi heard the crying coming from the house, thinking that Ji had finished giving birth, and approached with worry and expectation, but saw that the room was full of blood. His wife was lying on the ground covered in blood. Yun Kaiu held a red blade in one hand and the child in the other hand, and was dirty because of the blood. The midwife had been scared away long ago, and Yuniki rushed in and hugged Ji, his eyes full of disbelief. Why? Why? Yun Kaiu had never seen Yuniki have such strong emotions, and the sadness overflowed, making Yun Kaiu feel suffocated. Yuichi, calm down. I have a way. The originally dark eyes glowed again. Yun Kaiu knew that what he said next might push himself to the edge of the knife, but he still wanted to do his best to make up for the tragic life of Jiguo Yuniki. Chapter 11. I can bring Yuta back to life and give her a long life, but she will become a man-eating monster, and humans are the only food she can eat. The decision is yours, save her or not. Yun Kaiu's words extinguished the hope that had risen in Yunyi again. Yuta would not be willing to live like this, it was a blasphemy against life. Yunyi was unwilling to accept Yuta's death, but he did not want her to become that kind of monster, so he finally refused Yun Kaiu's help. The child kept crying, and the two of them could not take care of him. Yunyi did not want to leave Yuta alone here, so he asked Yun Kaiu to take the child away first, and he would find her later. Yunyi had a keen intuition. When Yun Kaiu proposed that method, he knew that Yun Kaiu actually knew something, and even ate people. With such a child, Yun Kaiu could only find a wet nurse to raise him first. The boy was strong and had no sequelae of dystocia. But for some reason, more than half a year had passed, and Yun Kaiu did not wait for Jiguo Yunyi to come to him. This shouldn't be. It's near their house. You can't even find it. When did you become so lame? Taking care of children is the most annoying thing. Yun Kaiu couldn't stand it anymore and took the child to the mountain, only to see a grave and an empty house. Don't take care of this. Am I your babysitter? Yun Kaiu. Don't you want your son? Helplessly, Yun Kaiu could only run around with the baby. When she heard that the Demon Slayer Corps appeared somewhere, she would rush over immediately to see if she could find Yun Kaiu. After running in vain 4 or 5 times, Yun Kaiu suddenly realized. Why bring the child with you? Wouldn't it be better to just leave it to Yanzheng? As a result, on the way back, an accident happened. Yun Kaiu met Muzan. And the most speechless thing is, Muzan has set his eyes on him, as if his taste is more fragrant. Damn, before eating Kaneki Ken, I thought he was fragrant, but now it's different. Became the prey. It's not that he can't beat Muzan. With the hedge form plus the high-tech Kuken, and the immortality bonus, he can wear Muzan out. But the problem is, he has a child. Muzan took the lead and wanted to cut off Yun Kaiu's neck directly, but was blocked by the hedge. After a short fight, Muzan realized that Yun Kaiu was different. He has strange abilities, very similar to a ghost, but not a ghost. Could it be that the damn doctor also saved others? How could this be? There can only be one such advanced creature. Various thoughts flashed through Muzan's mind, and he directly turned on the combat form. Yun Kaiu could only wrap the baby with a scale hedge and hold it close to his waist. Tianfa also used the sword form. After all, he has been practicing swords for many years, and he can still go 3 moves with Yunyi. The two fought, and the surrounding trees were directly blown into sawdust, and the battlefield was constantly shifting. With the two of them as the center, the area has become a large ruin, and Yun Qiu is a little overwhelmed. The blood and demon arts of the demons are ever-changing, and Muzan, as the demon king, has countless methods. Ghouls have only so many methods, and they mainly rely on Kagun and combat experience. Yun Qiu has fought with it and Furuta Naifuku, and they all won by a narrow margin, relying on the high concentration of RC cells stored in their bodies and physical skills. Muzan is like a mage, and Yun Qiu is a warrior. The two of them pushed the battlefield tirelessly. Seeing that the sky is about to dawn, isn't Muzan afraid of the sun? Yun Qiu is not in a hurry, just wasting time with him, and the concentration of RC cells also dropped quickly. Muzan is anxious. Yun Qiu took advantage of his panic and directly transformed into a Kagun, turning into a 7-meter-tall humanoid monster, and started to bite Muzan. I have to say, the Ghost King is a great tonic. Just eating one of his hands is equivalent to eating hundreds of people. Chapter 12. Muzan didn't want to die, so he cut his body into 8 pieces and started to run away. Yun Kaiu hurriedly grabbed 5 of the pieces and stuffed them into his mouth. The taste was a little worse than Kanaki's, but it was still pretty good. The RC concentration was really high. After eating, the RC cells were stored in case of emergency. Many people on the ground were also affected and died. Yun Kaiu had been hungry before, and he always picked up the leftovers of others. He hadn't eaten enough during this period, so he simply wrapped himself with his Kagun and began to devour these corpses. After cleaning up most of the battlefield, Yun Kaiu let go of the living people, and even avoided them, only picking up the dead bodies. He was going to continue moving forward, but suddenly felt a strong killing intent. Before he could react, Yun Kaiu saw his body. It turned out that his head was chopped off. Yun Kaiu could only quickly use his scale Kagun to pick up his head, and then wrap himself with his feather Kagun to prevent another sneak attack. After seeing who was doing it, Yun Kaiu almost cursed her father. I worked so hard to help you take care of your children, and you came up and killed me with a sword. So you were just playing me when you fought me back and forth before. The one who did it was Yunyi, who was standing not far away holding the sun wheel sword and looking at Yun Kaiu, with mixed emotions in his eyes. I thought you were different. What? What was he talking about? Yunyi approached step by step. Yun Kaiu twisted her neck to make sure she was not pretending, then stood up and looked at him, and then she heard. What do you think of life? No. Didn't he say this to Muzan? Why did he say it to me now? Seeing him pick up the sun wheel sword and was about to chop at her, Yun Kaiu could only block it quickly, and all 8 scales were cut off. After rolling with the force, she dodged this move. There was a burning pain from the incision, and the recovery was much slower, which should be caused by the sun breathing. Yun Qiu probably knew what Yunyi understood. He just thought that he killed the people here for the sake of eating people, and he was eating openly. Muzan wanted to kill me, and we fought. He kept forcing me to the village, and I couldn't do anything. Yun Qiu was not a mouthless person. He immediately put the blame on Muzan, who made him target him and pester him. In fact, Yun Qiu had Yuhi, and he could run away if he wanted to. He just wanted to test Muzan's strength. Now the sun is out, and Muzan has slipped away, leaving me here to be caught by Yunyi. Yunyi stopped and stood there. The two looked at each other. You go. Hearing these 3 words, Yun Qiu breathed a sigh of relief. After all, Yunyi is the ceiling of the world's combat power. If they really fight, he will definitely lose. Did you forget something? Yun Qiu's sudden words made Yunyi short-circuited. What did you forget? This guy looked confused. Didn't he forget his child? Yun Kaiu let go of Weha and took out the sleeping little guy. You don't want your son anymore? I don't want to take care of the child. Yuichi thought Yun Kaiu had sent the child to the successor country a long time ago. He joined the Demon Slayer Corps, and it was too dangerous to take the child with him. He thought about going home to see him once in a while, but he didn't expect Yun Kaiu to still take him with him. Give it to me. The child's soft body is not easy to hold. It is obvious that Yuichi doesn't understand at all, and he is in a panic now. After getting rid of this little trouble, Yun Kaiu prepared to go back to find Yan's Hung. After being out for more than half a year, he didn't do much, but Yun Kaiu thought a lot more clearly. Why do you have to think about the future? Isn't it better to grasp the present? Chapter 13. Fortunately, Yun Kaiu had given the child to Yunyi a long time ago. Now he was alone, so he found a place to recuperate before going back. Yunyi should be able to take good care of the child, right? Muzan couldn't fly, so he could only watch Yun Kaiu fly higher and higher. Finally, the sun appeared, and he hid with gritted teeth. Yun Kaiu went around several mountains, and finally dug a cave in a mountain, then ate all of Muzan's meat before, and fell into a deep sleep. His biggest shortcoming was that he didn't know blood demon arts, and he didn't know the principles of blood demon arts. Relying on the power of devouring, he must have a better blood demon art, and then ravage Muzan. Judging from the guy's breath, he must have eaten a lot of people to recover in more than 10 days, or even stronger. His own horn bag was damaged, and he was tired after fighting for so long, so he wrapped it with 2 or 3 layers of tail horn and feather horn, and then he fell asleep with peace of mind. Time flew fast outside. Spring, summer, autumn and winter came again and again, but Yun Kaiu still showed no signs of waking up. Ding! Wang BA System After Sales Services Online. It is detected that the previous host fell into a deep sleep due to the bug of assimilation and devouring. Now we start to optimize and compensate. The voice of the system seemed to reach the soul. Yun Qiu opened his eyes and saw a dark place, so dark that he couldn't even see his own hands clearly. What's going on? When did your system become so bad? There is also a problem with the reward. Yun Qiu immediately started to complain when he heard the words of the system after sales service. Previous host, don't be angry. We are now calculating the best solution. The best solution is that you give me a better cheat. Yun Qiu climbed up the pole directly. What bug? Tell me. Since the assimilation uses your blood, it will assimilate people into ghouls. But ghouls can't use blood demon arts, but swallowing can make you have the blood demon arts of Muzan Kibuki, so ghouls created by blood should also have blood demon arts. The two are contradictory, causing the host to fall asleep. This explanation is a little weird. I haven't created a ghoul myself, and you put me to sleep because of this crappy reason? It's funny. Yun Qiu can only urge the system to solve the problem quickly, and he is still in a hurry to go back. Our after-sales service is absolutely reliable. Such incidents will not happen again. At the same time, we have upgraded your rewards. From now on, the assimilated ghouls can possess blood demon arts and can eat humans and demons as food. The system reward space is also expanded to 100 cubic meters as compensation. This compensation is really good. Yun Kaiu didn't bother with it and immediately asked the system to send Yun Kaiu back. Former host, goodbye. Fast. I'm still waiting to take Muzan back to bask in the sun. The system threw Yun Kaiu out without saying a word. The moment he woke up, Yun Kaiu had only one feeling, that is, hunger. This kind of hunger is like not having eaten for hundreds of years. No. No. If it's any later, I'm afraid I'll starve to death. Yun Kaiu ran out of the cave quickly, smelling the smell in the air, which was faintly the smell of ghosts and human blood. With the rapid flow of the horn, Yun Qiu directly broke into an abandoned temple, where 6 ghosts were gathered together. There were also 4 or 5 cages with some people imprisoned inside, who looked mentally unwell. Some were wearing police uniforms. Yunqiu's sudden intrusion startled the 6 ghosts, and before the ghosts could speak, Yunqiu directly wrapped them up with the horn. But in an instant, they were devoured, and their stomachs were not so hungry anymore. Chapter 14. The servants were so scared that they sat on the ground with their mouths wide open, and the people in the cages began to scream. Am I ugly? Yunqiu asked the servants with an unhappy face, and when they didn't say anything, he stretched out his scales to scare them. You are very beautiful, the most beautiful person I have ever seen. One of them immediately knelt down and lowered his head, not daring to look. Then why are you so scared? You are not afraid of these 6 ghosts that eat people, why are you afraid of me? The rest of them trembled and dared not speak, just kept asking for mercy. Yunqiu kicked one of them. You, tell me what's going on. The man was obviously shaking more violently, and his words were trembling. Reply to the adults. We all just followed orders and sent the death row prisoners here to be eaten by those monsters. The rest don't know. Death row prisoners? Seeing that they are wearing official clothes, they should be government people, so the government and ghosts are in collusion? When did the ghosts become so rampant? Did he not care about Uniki? What era is it now? It's Edo. What? It's over. Iwakatsuo and Uniki. Could they have died of old age? Damn bug, damn Muzan. Yunqiu hurriedly asked a few more questions, and after learning that these people were all death row prisoners, he devoured them all to fill his stomach. Yunqiu did not let these servants go either, because they were not good people anyway. If they were really good people, they could only say that they were unlucky and met him. Yunqiu hurried to the Jiguo family, and finally found that the family did not exist. It seemed to be dispersed. But the house next to the Jiguo family was still there. After knocking on the door, a child of about 10 years old walked out. Disha, excuse me, what can I do for you? Seeing such a child, Yunqiu was also stunned for a second. This house is mine, is the housekeeper here? Disha was startled and immediately bent down and bowed. I am the housekeeper here, Disha, I just took office 3 months ago. You are such a little kid? When did Beiwa House start to use child labor? When Disha heard her say this, she thought she was dissatisfied with herself, and looked at Yunqiu a little helplessly, and her eyes turned red. Hey! Don't cry, I just said it casually. Come in first, I have something to ask you. Yunqiu pushed the door and went in while talking. Seeing that the small sofa she liked was still there, she sat on it immediately. Disha, do you know what happened in the country after the country? When did they leave here? Although Disha had just taken office, she knew a lot about this matter, and the previous housekeeper also talked about a lot of related matters. Since Yunqiu had a good relationship with the heir of Jiguo in the past, she paid special attention to their family affairs. It seems that there was a conflict between the 2 heirs, and finally one of them was expelled from the family, and they broke up not long after that. And even the adopted son of the heir was expelled. I'll go find information for the adults. The previous housekeeper has records. Disha ran into the room after saying that. The sound of rummaging through boxes came. 3 or 4 minutes later, she came out with a letter. Opening it, the content inside was brief, but it recorded all the important notes. Jiguo Yanzheng has always refused to marry, and Jiguo Yuanyi has been unable to find any trace, so Jiguo chose to remarry. Not long after, Jiguo Yanzheng adopted a child about half a year old, with red hair and red eyes, suspected to be his own. Judging from the time, this child should be Yuanyi's child, but for some reason he was given to Yanzheng to raise. When the child was about 1 year old, Jiguo Yanzheng disappeared. 5 years later, the lineage of the successor state, Yanzheng, was expelled from the successor state, and his adopted son was also stripped of his name. Chapter 15. After reading it, Yunqiu felt mixed emotions. Could it be that, like the original plot, Yan Shang became Kokushibo? I don't want to think about it anymore. It's good that he became Kokushibo. We'll have a chance to meet in the future. It's a pity for Yunyi. I didn't expect that the last time we met would be our last farewell. The most important thing is, I haven't learned the breathing of the sun yet. Touching the sun earrings on his earlobes, Yunqiu began to think about what to do next. I don't know when it will be, so let's wait and see. What's going on with Bei Wahoo? This is my source of income. Whether I'm rich or poor depends on the income of Bei Wahoo. When asked about this, Disha hesitated. Yunqiu looked at her and realized that she didn't know, but didn't dare to say it. I am the boss. The entire Beiwa house must listen to me. If you don't tell me, I will ask others. Disha was anxious. She grabbed Yun Kaiu's hand and shook her head. Don't go. They are all bad people. Children are easy to fool. Yun Kaiu sat back lazily again. Tell me, what happened? Yun Kaiu also had some business philosophy. He sorted out the industrial management and development of Beiwa House at one time and gave it to the family that followed him at the beginning, the Bei family. Over the years, the head family has been getting worse and worse to the people below, but everyone sells themselves to Beiwa House, so they can only tolerate it. And the management style of Beiwa House is not as good as other industries. Now it is squeezed by other families and there are not many shops left. My mother is a manager of Beiwa House. She has a serious illness and was kicked out some time ago. The family can only rely on me to look after the house and have some income. Yun Kaiu became more and more angry as he listened. He had a big family and business at the beginning, but they just bullied him like this? Don't want to die. You are causing trouble. Take me to see your mother. I'll find a doctor to help her, and then we'll go to Tokyo. Disha's eyes lit up immediately, and she happily led the way. Finally, they arrived at a very small courtyard, where coughing could be heard from time to time. After entering, I saw Hiwaza curled up in the quilt, coughing uncontrollably, and it sounded like she was blocking the smoke machine. Disha immediately ran over to pour water for her mother and helped her sit up. Hiwaza was very weak, her face was pale, her eyes were sunken, and her body had been in a very bad state for a long time. Yun Kaiu sat cross-legged and used the transparent world to check her body. Her lungs were hardened and infected, and she couldn't be saved. Boss Bei Wahoo, I haven't been to Bei Wahoo for a long time. So everyone thought. At that time, Yun Kaiu founded Bei Wahoo, and there was only one person. Later, he changed his identity and went there, and it was also a single-line inheritance. I guess those people thought that the bloodline had been cut off long ago, otherwise how could they be so arrogant and take Yun Kaiu's property for themselves? Yun Kaiu took out the badge from his pocket. This is the source of the Beiwa House logo, a colorful cloud surrounded by flowers. Badges can be forged, but no one does it. After all, Bei and his family hope that no one will inherit it. And not many people know about the badge. Many people think that the Bei family is the owner of Beiwa House. This identity badge, I guess not many people know it, but I won't give it to them just like that. After saying something, Hiwaza coughed more severely, and Disha could only ask her mother to drink more water to relieve it. Looking at her sensible daughter, Hiwaza really didn't want to die. She wanted to watch her grow up, get married, have children, and find someone to rely on. Can Disha go out first? Your mother and I have something to say. Disha nodded, then left the room, closed the door, and stood guard outside. Chapter 16. What do you want to ask, sir? Yunqiu did have something to ask. How much do you know about the Jiguo family? Disha was just a child, she didn't know much, and there was not much written in the records. Yunqiu wanted to know more accurate things. Hiwaza did know some folk rumors. There are folk rumors that someone in the Jiguo family became a swordsman, walking the world to kill evil spirits that eat people. But there are also rumors that someone in the family became a ghost, and the statements are different, and there is not much truth. The most authentic record is only written in the records in the house. It seems that it is similar to the original plot. Yuichi became a swordsman, and Iwakatsuo became Kokushibo. That's all I know. Shiwaza coughed continuously and even coughed up blood. Your health is not good. What will happen to Disha after you die? The question asked by Yunkaido was also the question that Shiwaza was most worried about. She was strong on the surface, but she shed tears at this time. Can the adults accept Disha? She is a great child, hardworking and capable. Yunkaido interrupted Shiwaza's entrustment. Do you want to live? Of course I don't want to. My child is still young, she can't live without a mother, but I don't have time. Shiwaza has a strong desire to survive, and Yunkaido feels that it is necessary to increase the number of ghouls and find some reliable and loyal subordinates because of the garbage behavior of the Bai family. There are monsters that eat people in this world, some are ghosts, specializing in eating people, and some are ghouls, which can eat people and ghosts, but they can't eat human food. I can make you a ghoul, but you have to be loyal to me, how about it? Shiwaza heard this and looked at Yunkaido in a daze, with disbelief on her face. I don't want to eat people. Is there no other way? No, you think about it. Disha can't live without her mother, right? Yunkaido looked at Shiwaza and gently wiped away her tears with his hands. Psychological tactics, Yunkaido's usual tactics, plus his newly learned blood ghost art, using sound as a medium to seduce and guide, Shiwaza will definitely agree. Sure enough, in less than a minute, Shiwaza decided to become a ghoul. She is now weak, and Yunkaido only gave her a small amount of blood, enough for her to transform into a ghoul, but it will not cause an explosion due to drastic changes in body cells. Disha didn't know what was being talked about inside, but when she saw her mother again, her mother looked much better, and she could even stand up and walk. After a period of reorganization, the three went to Tokyo, ready for a big reshuffle. Yunkaido sat in the carriage to rest. With the previous lesson, he didn't dare to relax too much. Nohaneko covered Yunkaido with a small blanket. Like a kino, she was a very gentle person. Perhaps because she had just transformed into a ghoul, Nohaneko was not able to control her Kagun and Kagun eyes very well, and her eyes would turn red from time to time. Nohaneko's Kagun was scale Kagun, and the color was light blue, which was very different from Yunkaido's, and the aura was also different. Her blood demon art had not awakened, perhaps because it was too weak. Now Nohaneko was at most a sea-level ghoul. These days, Nohaneko ate people who robbed on the way, or ghosts who didn't have eyes on the way. From some resistance at the beginning to being able to actively hunt now, Yunkaido felt that there was an assimilation effect in it. It would make the assimilated people gradually accept their identity as ghouls and then get food. Chapter 17. At this time, the Bai family was holding a monthly meeting in the conference hall in the center of Beiwa House. The ban of other families is very bad for our business. Our income has dropped to the lowest point. Indeed, the Huiming family has already started to negotiate with me and wants to buy the entire Beiwa house. Brother, what do you think? The situation is very unfavorable now. We need to think about the way out. This Beiwa house is powerless to save the situation. Everyone was talking about their own ideas, and they didn't notice that there were two more people in the room. The discussion became more and more intense, and even started fighting. Yunqiu watched with relish. Seeing one of them being pushed and falling on his buttocks, Yunqiu smiled and started to applaud, and everyone was attracted to it. Who are you? We are in a meeting, get out. The man's face was distorted, his tone was fierce, and he even picked up the cup on the ground and threw it over. A red shadow flashed, and the cup was hit out by Shiwazi. This kind of dirty thing can't meet adults, otherwise I will appear useless. Tisk tisk tisk, his temper is worse than mine, let's kill him. As soon as Yunqiu finished speaking, the man's head was cut off. Although Hiwazi is gentle, she is also a ruthless person, otherwise how could she snatch a position from these people to Disha? Besides, these people are parasites, constantly exploiting those children, beating and scolding them at will, and not treating people as human beings at all. Seeing the blood, more than a dozen men shouted and huddled together, and some even peed in fear. Yunqiu frowned and walked away 2 steps. Who is the head of the family among you? A middle-aged man immediately knelt down and kowtowed to spare his life. Be quiet, I ask you questions and you answer them. Whoever supports exploiting children, stand up. Yunqiu asked the most fatal question right away. After pushing and shoving for a long time, no one dared to stand up, and they all blamed each other. Forget it, they are all scum. Hiwazi, find a way to take over Beiwa House first, and you can deal with them as you like, just don't let them die too easily. The house smelled too bad, Yunqiu didn't want to stay any longer, and hurried back to take a shower. The current management method of Beiwa House was too backward. Yunqiu found some plans on the internet, and then spent money to ask some experts to come up with the latest management plan. Hiwazi was very efficient, and he was familiar with the affairs because he was in the middle management before. He cleaned up the mess of the Bai family in 1 month. As for those people, they all became Hiwazi's rations, and a lot of money was searched out of their homes. It should be the oil and water scraped from Beiwa House, which was used to fill the current loopholes, and there was still some left. The big change of Beiwa House made the outside world want to take the opportunity to get a piece of the pie, and constantly made trouble in the store. Hiwazi fought back directly. Now the official has not stabilized yet and is not willing to deal with these minor fights. The thundering means quickly made others dare not move. After half a year, relying on the latest business philosophy, Beiwa gradually got on the right track. As the boss on the surface, Hiwazi is responsible for various affairs, and is constantly cultivating new staff, and she must appease the children who are oppressed. She suddenly turned into a workaholic and awakened the blood ghost art of the clone. She is really a worker chosen by heaven. The boss Yunqiu was moved to tears. 3 years later, the reputation of Beiwa spread directly throughout Japan, and the industry gradually spread to some small towns. After Yunqiu had money, he also planned to go out and hang around. In the Edo period, many people became upper-rank demons, including Komeiji, also known as Akaza. Chapter 18. Although Yunqiu was an anime fan before traveling through time, he didn't know much about the story background of anime. For a big background like Demon Slayer, we only know the birth time and place of each demon roughly, and then we sigh at their pity. The intelligence network of Beiwa is powerful enough. After searching most areas, we finally locked on several martial arts halls. It took about half a month to collect information about martial arts halls. Among them, there was a daughter of the owner of a martial arts hall, named Lian Shuet, but she is only 3 years old now. It seems that it is still early. Iwakatsuo became Kokushibo. This is Yunqiu's mistake. If Komeiji becomes Akaza again, Yunqiu will definitely go and fight with Muzan. It seems that there has been no news about Kokushibo. He won't think he is dead, right? Let Hanako arrange the itinerary. Yunqiu plans to live there first and enter the martial arts hall to learn something. It is not good to have a long life. It is easy to get bored. Places with martial arts halls are better developed. Under such prosperity, there are still a lot of filth. Beiwa has some businesses here, which are some medical clinics and hotels. Yunqiu lived directly in the hotel without looking for another room. According to Hiwazi's advice, everyone was very respectful to the 9-year-old girl. Yes, Yunqiu has become smaller again. After all, she will stay for a long time, and if she doesn't get old, it will arouse suspicion from others. After walking around the surrounding area, Yunqiu walked towards the martial arts hall. As soon as she approached, she heard the slogans inside. They should be practicing martial arts. Is the little girl lost? Yun Kaiu looked up and saw a man holding a child approaching, staring at her curiously. I want to join the dojo, can I? Wei? Why do you have such an idea? Sushin Qingzang was a little surprised and didn't understand why such a young child would want to join the dojo. I want to exercise and protect myself. There are no disciples in the dojo, but my wife is not in a good mood recently, and I have to take care of my daughter. My life is much busier than before. Sorry, our dojo does not accept disciples for the time being, but the dojo next door should accept you. Sushin Qingzang rejected Yun Kaiu, but still pointed Yun Kaiu in a direction. Yun Kaiu didn't want to go to the next door. After thinking for a while, he decided to take a step back. Then can I come over and take a look? You can come if you want. Getting affirmation, Yun Kaiu nodded, I will come over when I have time in the future. Sushin Qingzang wanted to say something, but Yun Kaiu turned around and left, leaving the father and daughter confused. Back at the Beiwahou Hotel, Yun Kaiu couldn't wait to pounce on the comfortable bed. Yun Kaiu didn't like sleeping on the floor, so he specially asked someone to make a bed with 6 layers of quilts, which was soft. Enjoy when you should enjoy. In the following 3 years, Yun Qiu went to the martial arts gym from time to time, mainly to chat with Lian Shui and sometimes to watch Sushan Qingzang practice. Lian Shui was weak and needed to be taken care of, so she didn't have many friends. Every time Yun Qiu showed up, Lian Shui would be happy for a long time. Maybe it was too tiring to take care of Lian Shui, or there was no hope in life. Lian Shui's mother drowned herself. Thinking that her mother didn't want to see her, Lian Shui felt very guilty and her condition worsened a lot. She could get out of bed and walk, but now she couldn't even get up. Yun Qiu could only ask the people in the clinic to visit more often. In fact, he wanted to turn Lian Shui into a ghoul in his heart. Although it would be much better in the future, Lian Shui was poisoned and still couldn't survive. On the other side, Komeiji was caught and beaten for stealing medicinal materials and wallets. In recent years, his father has been sick, and Komeiji can only use this method to buy medicine for his father and prolong his father's life. When he returned home with medicine again, he saw his father lying in a pool of blood and lost his breath. Seeing his son doing shameful things, being beaten and scolded, and tattooed with a sinner's tattoo because of him, the always upright boy chose to understand himself. If he was not a burden, Komeiji should be able to live a better life, right? Chapter 19. Yun Qiu had nothing to do, so he took some pastries to the Suliu dojo and came to Lian Shui's room skillfully. She was still listless and had difficulty breathing. Lian Shui, if you need me, tell me. Yun Qiu had suggested before that Lian Shui become a ghoul, but Lian Shui did not have a strong desire, she just wanted to live, but she did not pursue living. In addition to Qingzang, Lian Shui did not want her father to know that she chose to become a man-eating ghoul in order to survive. So this matter was left unresolved, and Lian Shui did not mention it to her father. The two sat together quietly, with melodious music playing on their mobile phones, which was one of the things Lian Shui rarely liked. Qingzang spoke loudly, as if he was introducing something to someone, and then he saw him walking in with a boy who was beaten into a pig's head. Is it okay to hand over the house with only my daughter at home to me, a sinner? The boy's voice was hoarse, not slow, and he sounded without any emotional ups and downs. Qingzang smiled and replied, I just beat you up, you sinner, and I got rid of you. It's okay. Yun Kaiu waved his hand and told Liangxiu that he was leaving. In fact, he used blood demon art to hide quietly in the room. When he saw Liangxiu, Komeiji was stunned. Maybe it was because the coughing was very similar to his father, or maybe it was because Liangxiu's fragile and haggard appearance made people feel distressed. In short, Komeiji was stunned. Such a meaningful scene, Yun Kaiu must take a picture and record it. This is my daughter Liangxiu. You will be responsible for taking care of her in the future. When you have nothing to do, learn the skills of hand-to-hand combat with me. Sometimes there will be a child coming over. I will introduce you to them when the time comes." Qingzang quickly arranged work for Komeiji, and Komeiji performed very well. He had taken care of the patient's father before, so he was much more patient than others, and he was also careful and considerate in doing things. However, every time Liangxiu cried, he was a little at a loss. Komeiji stared at Liangxiu in a daze again, and Yun Kaiu started to tease him casually, "Liangxiu is beautiful, right?" Realizing his own gaffe, Komeiji closed his eyes and continued to punch without answering Yun Kaiu's question. After all, this strange sister always said strange things, and sometimes pointed small cubes at him. The most frustrating thing was that she always said that she envied her thick eyelashes and wanted to secretly cut them off and put them on her eyes. Komeiji couldn't sleep that night because of this sentence. "I know you like her, I'll tell her now." Yun Kaiu stood up and was about to walk towards Liangxiu, and Komeiji was so scared that he blocked Yun Kaiu directly. "Don't tell her." He was anxious. He was anxious. The 18-year-old Komeiji had grown very tall and could easily stop Yun Kaiu. With the muscles he had trained and the momentum, he still looked a little scary, of course, provided that he didn't blush. Every time Yun Kaiu mentioned something related to Liangxiu, Komeiji would listen carefully, and his eyes would be attracted by Liangxiu. In short, his heart was on his wife, and his whole soul was attracted by her. But Komeiji, who had a tattoo of a sinner, didn't dare to think too much, and kept restraining his feelings. The person in charge was confused, and Komeiji was too worried to see that Liangxiu also liked him, but Qingzang could understand the feelings of the two children. Komeiji was his only disciple, with high talent and good to Liangxiu. If he could inherit the dojo, he would be relieved. Chapter 20. Qingzang felt that it was time, and called Komeiji into the room. "Can you continue to be there, Komeiji? Besides, Rongxiu has reached the age to get married, and she likes you very much." Hearing his father's straightforward words, Rongxiu lowered her head shyly, her face already red. Komeiji's mind went blank in an instant, and he remembered what his father had said to him before. Maybe he could really start over? Some expectations began to swell uncontrollably, and he immediately promised to treat Rongxiu well for the rest of his life and protect her with his life. The next day, Yun Kaiu also came to visit with gifts, mainly to congratulate Rongxiu on being able to marry Komeiji. After 6 or 7 days, Komeiji asked to go back to visit his father and left the dojo with his luggage. Yun Kaiu knew that those people were going to poison him. Yun Kaiu also had his own ideas in his mind. Muzan had 12 demons, and he only had the mother and daughter of Hanako under his command, so he was at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. Komeiji and Rongxiu must become ghouls. Qingzang is a powerful warrior, and Yun Kaiu also wants to. So Yun Kaiu will not stop poisoning. This is an opportunity for him. The two who drank the water quickly became poisoned. Rongxiu kept coughing while holding her chest, her eyes full of tears. Qingzang also found something wrong, but his body could not move normally because of the spread of the poison. Yun Kaiu suppressed a trace of guilt in his heart and invited them to join him. Qingzang refused firmly. Life is precious, but there are things more important than life that he needs to stick to. Rongxiu is very entangled. Everything is getting better. Why did this happen? She wants to live and wants to accompany Komeiji. And the fireworks. They clearly agreed to watch the fireworks together later. Is he going to break his promise? Rongxiu really wants to agree, but if she agrees, will it disappoint her father? Or will Komeiji also think he is a monster? You save Lian Shuet, she is still young and has not seen this world yet. Qingzang said this weakly and closed his eyes to save his energy. Lian Shui could no longer hold on, spitting blood from her mouth, curled up on the ground. Yun Qiu cut his palm and fed the blood into her mouth. He tore off a small piece from his own Yuhihibeo and buried it in her shoulder blade. This is Yunqiu's guess based on his own ideas. Using part of the Hibao as a guide is more likely to obtain the same type of Hibao. He consumes less, which can reduce the consumption of RC cells. It is agile and has low combat power, but it is good at escaping. The transformation process takes time. Lian Shui has fallen into a deep sleep. Yunqiu quietly left here, intending to observe the situation in the dark, and then sneak attack Muzan. I am very vengeful. The revenge for the previous sneak attack must be avenged. You wait for me. Since the system has fixed the bug, I now have a lot of blood demon arts, but I am not very proficient in them. The hidden blood demon arts also come in handy. Komeiji returned to the gym in a daze and saw the two lying on the ground with white cloth covering their faces. Tears could not stop flowing down. Lian Shui's fingers moved slightly, and it should be that she was about to regain consciousness, but Komeiji was overwhelmed by anger and stood up to go to the next gym to seek revenge. Yunqiu was worried about Lian Shui being here. After all, half of the ghouls who just woke up would have a big appetite. He rolled Lian Shui into the next room, which was already bloody at this time. The people lying on the ground had twisted bodies, and many of them had broken limbs. Yunqiu was amazed at this. As expected of the third brother, this fighting power is beyond words. Chapter 21. Lian Shui was a little dishonest. She drooled when she smelled the blood and wanted to rush down to have a good meal. Yunqiu had no choice but to make a box cage to trap Lian Shui in a room and cut off a man's arm for her. If she woke up and saw that she had eaten so many people, she would definitely not be able to accept it. Everything has a process, so take it slowly. It had been a while since Komeiji walked out of the gym. Yunqiu picked up the heavenly punishment and quickly followed the smell. Everyone on the street was hiding. Komeiji walked aimlessly. At the bridge, a man came towards him with a pale face. "Boss! You're finally here." Yunqiu clenched the knife in his hand and found an excellent attack position. As long as Muzan attacked Komeiji, he would just rush up and chop him. Seeing Komeiji covered in blood, Muzan began to talk to himself. "I heard that many people died here, and I thought that a ghost was out of control. I didn't expect that you, a human, could make such a commotion. I admire you very much. Now there are only 3 people in the 12 demon moons, you are not bad." Komeiji was in no mood to deal with this strange man, and told him to get out or he would leave his life. Muzan didn't say anything, but just stretched his hand forward. Yunqiu saw the opportunity, jumped up directly, and cut off Muzan's hand with the heavenly punishment. The pain from the wound made Muzan very angry. He was about to tear this ignorant man into pieces. The moment he raised his head, all the cells in his body began to tremble. The girl in front of him had red hair, wore the man's sun earrings, and held a long knife in her hand, which was very similar to the scene that day. Yunqiu had been preparing for a long time, so she has been red-haired and red-eyed all these years, just waiting for today. Seeing the fear in Muzan's eyes, Yunqiu curled his lips and said in the most arrogant tone, "What do you think of life? Muzan? Answer me." Muzan's pupils shrank suddenly, as if he had returned to the moment when he was dominated by Yunyi that day. He released the blood demon technique to attack Yunqiu at the fastest speed, and then ran away without looking back. Swinging the long sword, Yunqiu blocked all the attacks. Muzan had long disappeared, but Yunqiu was happy. Looking at the broken hand on the ground, he picked it up with Linhe and swallowed it. It was better than nothing. Muzan's flesh and blood were still very nutritious. After all, he was the Ghost King. Komeiji looked at Yunqiu in a daze, and after a moment, he looked at the ground with a gloomy look. Did this guy lose his light? It turns out that eyes can really turn black. Looking at his pitiful appearance, he looked like he had no home, nothing, and no meaning in life, as if his wife had gone offline and he had disconnected from the internet. "Liangxiu is still waiting for you. Aren't you going back?" Komeiji didn't look up, didn't even say a word, and stood there like a log. Hey! Give me some reaction. I saved your wife and you treat me like this. Komeiji looked up suddenly, looked at Yunkaiu in disbelief, and then ran away like a fly. Dead love brain! Komeiji ran to the Surya dojo, where only King Zhang's body was left and Liangxiu was gone. With the joy of regaining what he had lost, Komeiji went to Liangxiu's room, but there was no one. Just when he was about to run to ask Yunkaiu why he was playing such a joke, he heard crying from next door. It was Liangxiu's voice. Komeiji rushed in and saw Rongxiu with blood all over her face, crying among the corpses, and those corpses had bite marks on them. Like a taut string, Komeiji held her in his arms to make sure that Rongxiu was still alive, and then he couldn't help crying, and the two hugged each other tightly. Chapter 22. Yunkaiu's Kagun cage was not made very strong, and it would dissipate by itself after a certain period of time. After coming out, Liangxiu was still very hungry. Although she was conscious, she couldn't help eating them. Only when her body's RC cells were replenished to a certain level did she suppress her appetite. Liangxiu looked around helplessly, feeling helpless. If Komeiji saw it, would he be scared? Tired of crying, Komeiji carried Liangxiu back to the Surya dojo. Seeing Yunkaiu sitting inside, he was stunned for a moment, but still put the sleeping Liangxiu back to the room first. The stars in the sky were very bright, a rare good night view. Yunkaiu just lay on the ground, waiting for Komeiji to come to find her. A cup of tea was pushed over, and Komeiji knelt not far away, solemnly bowing to Yunkaiu to thank him. Don't be so serious. I've known you for so many years, but this is the first time I've seen you cry so freely. Komeiji twitched his lips, sighing in his heart that Yunkaiu was still the same as always, and his words made people have a heart attack. Anyway, thank you very much for saving her. But, how did Liangxiu's eyes become like that? Is it a sequelae? Liangxiu is not very good at controlling herself, and she just ate a human, so her body cells are active. Komeiji noticed the red and black eyes at first sight. She can only feed on humans or ghosts now. It's normal for her body to change because she's a ghoul now, not a human. When Komeiji heard that Rongxiu was going to feed on humans, his heart jumped. What? Ghouls? It's similar to ghosts. Ghosts feed on humans and can't bask in the sun. Ghouls feed on them, but they're not afraid of the sun. But whether they're ghouls or ghosts, their lifespans are longer than humans. Yunkaiu has an immortal body, and ghouls made with blood will benefit more or less. The length of lifespan is linked to strength. The person I drove away was the Ghost King Muzan. All ghosts were created by him, and there are many more ghosts than ghouls. There are only me and another mother and daughter among the ghouls. They were assimilated by me and are currently helping me manage my industry. Rongxiu is the third one. Disha actually discovered that her mother was wrong. After repeated questioning, she learned the truth and finally decided to become a ghoul and work for Yunkaiu with her mother. After hearing these, Komeiji had a new understanding of these things that he once thought did not exist. Looking at Yunkaiu lazily lying in the moonlight, Komeiji was confused. Turn me into a ghoul too. After saying this, Komeiji sat there waiting for Yunkaiu's answer. Then you will be my subordinate in the future and help me with things. No problem. Although Rongxiu is alive now and has a healthy body and a long life, she is worried in her heart. She is Komeiji's light and the person he wants to protect. Time passes, and I am a human being and will die. In this case, Rongxiu will live alone. It is better to become a ghoul and live with her. Yunkaiu stretched out his hand, and the armor grew rapidly from the shoulder, piercing Komeiji's chest and injecting a lot of blood. The feeling of suffocation followed, and the body began to spasm. Komeiji felt something growing in his waist, and his vision began to become dim, but he could see more clearly. The pain in his body made Komeiji gasp for air, and he felt hungry. If you're hungry, go to the next door. There's ready-made food anyway. Komeiji felt particularly bad, as if he was starving to death and felt dizzy. He became a ghoul on his own initiative, and he had already gotten over the mental barrier of eating people. Chapter 23. The next day, the servants came, and Yunqiu found someone from Beiwahu to cover up the matter, but he could not stay in the Suliu dojo for a short time. Yunqiu handed over the management of the dojo to others, and took Komeiji and Koyayaki to Asakusa. At present, Asakusa is considered a developed area, and the night economy has also been brought up by the marketing model of Beiwahu. When they arrived in Asakusa, Yunqiu made a space for the two to open a new Suliu dojo, so he didn't pay much attention to it. After being bored for a long time, Yunqiu began to wander around the street market. Buy beautiful clothes. Buy delicious food. Buy things you haven't seen before. In short, spend money, spend money, spend money. Yunqiu was happily enjoying the fun of shopping, but suddenly someone grabbed his wrist. He looked back with confusion and was stunned. The two looked at each other, with complicated emotions in their eyes. The crowds around them seemed to have nothing to do with them. Without words, Kokushibo pulled Yunqiu out of the crowd, came to a simple house, pushed the door and walked in. Obviously, this person is so missed, and I thought I would never see him again, but this person is right in front of me, and Kokushibo doesn't know how to speak. Ask her why she never came back? Not even saying goodbye? Ask her why she is alive, but never goes back to see him? But Kokushibo is no longer Yanzheng. I'm sorry, I'm late. Yunqiu knew that it was her fault for not going back to tell him before falling asleep. Or she didn't tell him her feelings before leaving, making him wait for her for so long. With just one simple sentence, Kokushibo waited for 194 years, and thought she didn't care about it anymore, but her heart still hurt. Even though Kokushibo's expression didn't change, Yunqiu felt that he was wronged. Yunqiu walked closer, wrapped her arms around his thin waist, put her head on his chest, and patted his back as before. A drop of warm tears fell on his neck. Yunqiu held his face with her hands, gently wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes, and kissed him on the lips. After the two met, they began to live a sweet life as a couple. Muzan and Kokushibo are in a cooperative relationship. They usually don't check their memories, nor do they suddenly come to Kokushibo. Occasionally, he would call him to the Infinite City to chat and enhance their relationship. Seeing Kokushibo's strength increase, Muzan was very happy, and his life had an extra layer of protection. Yunqiu learned about what happened at the beginning from Kokushibo. After Yunyi brought the child back, he asked Yanzheng to take care of it. His father immediately thought it was Yunzhen's child. Yunyi simply asked his brother to recognize the child as his adopted son and raise him under his name. Not long after, Yanzheng also joined the Demon Slayer Corps. The two killed demons together and would go home to see the child from time to time. But Yanzheng never waited for Yunqiu to come back, and heard from Yunyi that Yunqiu was a ghoul, which made him even more confused. Later, Iwakitsu opened the markings and knew that he didn't have much time left, but he didn't want to die like this. Muzan found him and asked him to become a demon. But Iwakitsu didn't agree at that time. As time passed, Iwakitsu felt that he was about to die, but Yunqiu still didn't appear, and Iwakitsu was completely panicked. Muzan appeared again, and Iwakitsu compromised this time and chose to become a demon, becoming the current Kokushibo. Before Yoriichi died, Kokushibo went to see him. The two brothers looked at each other for a long time, and all their words became sighs. But in the end, Yunqiu came, and Kokushibo felt that everything he did was worth it. Chapter 24. Time passed quickly. Yunqiu didn't learn the breathing of the sun at first, but Kokushibo taught him the breathing of the moon, so it wasn't too bad. Muzan didn't know that the most powerful fighter under his command was mixed with his enemies, and it seemed that he would follow his wife at any time. If Muzan hadn't controlled Kokushibo's life, Yunqiu would not be able to release the control for the time being. Yun Kaiu wanted to show his affection with Kokushibo in front of Muzan. If he wanted to release the control, he had to rely on Tamayo. However, Muzan was not idle in these years, because Yun Kaiu's powerful combat power and weirdness made Muzan more obsessed with finding the blue Higanbana. The expansion of demons was also more crazy, looking for some powerful humans to transform. But Komeiji had been kidnapped by Yun Kaiu, and he said he would keep a low profile. Muzan didn't target Komeiji, and the upper three Akaza disappeared completely. But Muzan found a more powerful upper rank too, named Goranami-e, who was a female ghost and seemed to be a ninja in her lifetime. Upper rank 3 is Doma, and Goranami-e defeated Doma and replaced him in the bloody battle. It seems that this upper rank 2 is second only to Kokushibo in terms of combat power. The difficulty was increased by Yun Kaiu, and it is unknown whether Tanjiro and his team can defeat Muzan this time. Gyaku and Han Tengu, one looks, hard to describe, eyes are not eyes, mouth is not mouth, probably not very good looking in life, Yun Kaiu doesn't like it. One is purely bad, did a lot of sneaky things, and said that it was the hand that stole it, not him. Yun Kaiu would not be like this, what's wrong with me doing bad things? If you have the ability, kill me. If you don't have the ability, shut up. So, these two people, one is upper rank 4 and the other is upper rank 5, and their positions have not changed. When the time came for the prostitute Taro and Mei to become ghosts, Yun Kaiu decided to move to Yoshiwara Yukaku. Komeiji and Koyoki also moved to other places, continued the Soryu Dojo, accepted many apprentices, and were responsible for the security of Beiwau. Moving was a big project. Yun Kaiu was used to many things and didn't want to throw them away. She could only find many drivers to move them away. The distance was long, which was very tiring. Yukaku was very large, and the economy was polarized. On one side, it was extremely prosperous, with bright lights and wine, and countless courtesans competing for beauty, while on the other side, there were piles of poor people who couldn't even eat enough. In order to make life convenient, Yun Kaiu bought a house in the central area. Surrounded by industries such as Kyogokuya that entertained guests, Yun Kaiu's simple and unpretentious decoration was out of place here. After getting ready, Yun Chu went out for a walk and found that there were 3 Beiwao businesses in Yukio. He didn't expect that he, the boss, didn't know that the business was so rich. Even entertainment venues for fun are open. Ahem, I'll go to inspect the work tonight. Walking and walking, gradually arrived at the border of Yukio. A not-so-wide river was like a dividing line. This side was prosperous and magnificent, and the other side was backward and ugly. There were 2 or 3 bridges on the river. Yun Chu walked over. People along the way looked at him with strange eyes and avoided him. Most of those people's clothes were simple, and some were even patched. They looked pale and thin. Yun Chu, who was dressed cleanly and white, and had a stunning appearance, suddenly appeared. No one dared to step forward for fear of offending her. The streets were dirty, rats and flies were everywhere, weeds were overgrown, and sounds of beating and scolding were heard from time to time. It was really chaotic. Chapter 25. Yun Kaiu was eating apple candy, but her appetite was gone all of a sudden, and she felt that the food in her hand was also stained with the smell. She quickened her pace and shuttled through the streets, but still did not see the shadow of Jifutaro or Mei. There was no way, there were too few descriptions of ghosts, and Yun Kaiu only knew their general appearance and age, and where they lived specifically. Yun Kaiu was not checking the household registration, so how could she know so much detail? Adding this, many children were born, but they died quickly, and few survived. The Edo government did not care at all. Maybe they were just registered today, but they were gone tomorrow. Having learned from the previous lessons, Yun Kaiu came early this time, and there was no situation where Doma dug people away. It could only be that the 2 people were not born yet. Just thinking about how to understand the situation here in detail, I heard a group of children shouting something. Yun Kaiu, who had excellent hearing, could hear clearly that they were scolding ugly monsters. I quickened my pace and walked over, and saw a few children who were dressed well, throwing stones at another one. The child was dirty, with messy hair and a skinny body. He was lying on the ground with his head in his arms. Hey, kids, if you don't run now, you'll be beaten. Yun Chu's voice came from behind, scaring the children away, but they didn't leave. One of the brave ones even contradicted Yun Chu, what does it have to do with you? We're just playing with him. Yun Chu gave a death smile, which stunned the children. They stood there without speaking or moving. Regardless of their situation, Yun Chu walked up and kicked them one by one, regardless of whether they were men or women. It was light, but it made the children cry and go home. Looking at the prostitute Taro lying on the ground, Yun Chu was a little disgusted. It was too dirty. Finally, she wrapped her hand with a handkerchief, lifted him up with 2 fingers, and then shook him like a rag doll. Are you okay? Jifutaro saw Yun Kaiu's face, was stunned for a long time, then covered his face with his hands and dared not look, shrinking like a hedgehog. Seeing him like this, Yun Kaiu didn't want to force him, so she stuffed the apple candy she had eaten a few bites of into his hand, and then put it back on the ground. It was also very light, and I didn't feel anything in my hand. There were a lot of things in the food box, some cakes I bought just now, left for him to replenish his body, and then put the food box in his hand next to him. Jifutaro looked at Yun Kaiu puzzledly through his fingers, holding the apple candy helplessly in his other hand, and curled up against the wall. The dirty puppy looked so pitiful. I really wanted to wash it clean. I patted Jifutaro's head and said, "This is for you." Then I turned and left, leaving Jifutaro staring blankly, holding the bamboo stick tightly in his hands. Jifutaro only nodded until the figure disappeared around the corner. His teeth were crooked and twisted, but it did not affect his eating of the hard-earned food at all. Thinking of his seriously ill mother and his sister who had just turned 4, Jifutaro picked up the things and ran home, looking around vigilantly, fearing that someone would snatch them away. When he returned home, he was greeted by his mother's beating and scolding, hitting his neck and head again and again. The young Jifutaro was powerless to resist. Mei sat aside and cried, grabbing the corner of her mother's clothes, but was pushed away. She kept cursing, and the food she brought back was also overturned and stained with dust on the ground. After he was tired of fighting, he left the 2 siblings here and lay down to sleep. Jifutaro picked up the cakes on the ground, crushed the clean ones and fed them to Mei, ate the dirty ones himself, and carried Mei away from the crazy woman, coaxing her in the corner. Chapter 26. After that, Yun Kaiu would go to the other side of Rashomon every once in a while to bring some food to Jifutaro to improve his life. At first, Jifutaro, who was hungry, would accept it, but for some reason, he would never take anything from Yun Kaiu. Yun Kaiu was also a stubborn person. He would just leave the things and leave, regardless of whether he would take them or not. He would just put them in front of him. As time went by, the 2 of them became more familiar with each other. At least Jifutaro was not so vigilant and was willing to talk to Yun Kaiu. He would always say thank you. Yun Kaiu then realized that someone had learned from her and poisoned the food to kill Jifutaro. If he hadn't been lucky, he would have died long ago. Seeing him eat rats and snakes, Yun Kaiu felt distressed and had a headache. This is my future general. How can he eat so badly? No. Just take the 2 of them over. When he went there again, Yun Kaiu saw him squatting in the same corner, holding a worn-out sickle in his hand, and in front of him was a nailed-to-death snake, still twisting its body. He cut off the snake's head neatly, then stood up with the snake's twisting body, ready to go home. He looked up and saw Yun Kaiu standing not far away. Jifutaro hid the sickle and snake behind him in a panic. From a distance, he thought he had a moving tail. Jifutaro was already 10 years old, and still looked very thin, but at least he would not hunch his back or lower his head after Yunkaiu's corrections. Sister Yunkaiu. Jifutaro hurriedly bowed and greeted her. This was what he learned from others. To treat distinguished guests, one should bow and greet them. Yunkaiu was the light in his gloomy life. After his mother's death, she helped the two of them through a very difficult period. On cold snowy days, he would send them quilts, care about their lives, and teach those who bullied him a lesson. How are you doing recently? Jifutaro was a little nervous, so he could only nod and stand up awkwardly. How is Xiaomei? Someone wants to train Xiaomei to be in Warren, and Xiaomei agreed, so she is learning the piano with the boss lady. It turns out that Xiaomei has already started to be a prostitute. It seems necessary to take them away quickly. This is not a good place. There are many old uncles who take advantage of her. If Xiaomei wants to be in Warren, it is safer to leave her under my command and let the people of Sanuia take care of her. With Xiaomei's appearance, it is only a matter of time before she becomes an Warren. Do you want to take Xiaomei to live with me? I like you very much. Jifutaro was stunned and couldn't believe what he heard. In his eyes, Yunkaiu has always been an unattainable existence. Jifutaro is very grateful for her help, but he never dares to ask for more. For people like them at the bottom of Rashomon, being able to live is a luxury. It is a joke to rely on others for life. Jifutaro always hopes that he can become stronger, have the ability to protect his sister, and earn enough money to eat. He thought that Yunkaiu would disappear directly, as if she was tired of playing this charity game, but he never thought that she would take him away from such a place. The sound of the snake struggling in his hand brought him back to his thoughts. It took Jifutaro a long time to find his voice. Why? I look so ugly. You are still willing. Yunqiu patted his head, just like when they first met, appearance is only part of it. You are very brave. You protected Xiaomei and raised her well. Life is like this, painful but tenacious. The wrong person is not you, but this world. Sorry, Brother Kaneki, I used your famous saying. Chapter 27. It seemed that since he could remember, Jifutaro had never cried again, and life had long numbed him. But when he walked across the bridge with Yunkaiu and Xiaomei, the warmth from his palms made his eyes wet. The strange combination walking on the street attracted many people's attention, but after seeing who Yunkaiu was, they immediately retracted their gazes. Yunkaiu was famous in this area. She had paid a lot of money to meet all the courtesans on the street, and she often gave the most famous courtesans new products from Beiwahou. Everyone knew that she had a close relationship with Beiwahou, otherwise she would not be able to get the latest clothes to give to the courtesans. Because of Yunkaiu's generosity, all the men were furious. You are a woman, why are you visiting the flower street? And you gave such expensive gifts, the courtesans would not even look down on our gifts. But they could only complain a few words and did not dare to say it in front of Yunkaiu. It was already dusk when they got home, but the two little guys were a little dirty. Yunkaiu felt it necessary to wash them and change them into clean clothes before eating. It happened that Kokushibo also came back from the Infinite Castle. After watching Muzan go crazy, he scolded the lower string and whipped the upper string. It should be quiet for a while. Kokushibo, who was in a good mood, was cooking at the moment. He was really a good family man. Although Kokushibo didn't eat these, Yunkaiu did. So he spent a lot of time learning, and now his cooking skills can be said to be amazing. Wow, is it vegetable stew? It smells so good. It will be ready soon, go wash your hands first. Kokushibo looked back at the two children he brought back, but he scared them. The two children grabbed Yunkaiu's clothes in fear. Yunkaiu could only pat them to comfort them. This is my husband, he is a ghost. His eyes became 6 after he turned into a ghost. He won't hurt you. Mei looked at Kokushibo again, and continued to hold Yunkaiu tightly, and Jifutaro also held Yunkaiu's clothes with one hand. The nervous look of the two amused Yun Kaiu. Let me give them a bath before eating, it will be quick. As he said that, he led people to the bathroom, and Kokushibo was stunned for a second, and decisively put down the spatula. I will help this little ghost wash, you can't wash too by yourself. Ah? Won't the soup be overcooked? Yun Kaiu was a little confused, when did he like children so much? But he was willing to help. Yun Kaiu could also relax a little, and went to the bathroom with Mei in his arms. This house is not too big, there is only one bathroom, but there are many bathtubs, you can soak in water. Jifutaro was very resistant. After all, this man had no expression on his face and stared at him with 6 eyes. Anyone would be scared, right? If he didn't want his wife to bathe other men, he couldn't bathe children either. He didn't want to bathe this kid. Fortunately, Jifutaro didn't want him to do it either, and Kokushibo was there to help change the water. Soon 2 brand new children were born. After changing into new clothes, they all looked much more energetic, especially Jifutaro, whose gloomy temperament had dissipated. At dinner time, the 3 of them sat at the table and feasted, and Kokushibo was watching from the side. Speaking of Yun Kaiu with silver hair and purple eyes, and Mei with silver hair and blue eyes, at first glance, the 2 really look like sisters. Sister, doesn't he eat? Mei looked at Yun Kaiu with some doubts, her blue eyes full of curiosity. He specializes in eating bad people, not this. Mei just nodded, and Jifutaro didn't think much about it, thinking it was a lie to fool Mei. It was not until later, when he saw other ghosts eating people, that Jifutaro realized that Yun Kaiu's words were really what they said. Chapter 28. After a good sleep, Yun Kaiu felt refreshed. He asked Sanyuhu to go to the other side of Rashomon and take back the contract signed by Xiaomei. Xiaomei would study in Sanyuhu from now on. The name Jifutaro was too ugly and had a bad meaning. After Yun Kaiu asked for his opinion and confirmed that he didn't mind changing his name, he changed his name to Yinchuan. He asked him if he wanted to do anything. He still wanted to become stronger as always. Yun Kaiu sent him to the only dojo in this area to learn swordsmanship and exercise. The days passed one by one, which was peaceful and fulfilling. After Yinchuan finished training every day, he would go to Sanyuhu to pick up Xiaomei, and then they would go home together. 6 years passed in a flash. Xiaomei was 16 years old and became the most famous courtesan in Yukio. Tonight was her first parade. Yun Kaiu followed the crowd and saw that she had grown from a little kid to a young girl. He felt relieved that his daughter had grown up. Just as I was sighing, I suddenly smelled a strong, pungent smell mixed with blood. It seems that a ghost has come to Yoshiwara Flower Street. It seems to be quite strong. The food is delivered to the door, Yun Kaiu will definitely accept it with a smile, and then thank Muzan for the gift. But looking at the direction the ghost left, is it targeting Xiaomei? After the parade, Xiaomei returned to Sanyuia. Many people came up to praise her. Logwa was also very happy and asked the prostitutes to help Xiaomei take off these heavy clothes. Yun Kaiu didn't understand. Did this guy plan to wait a while before taking action because there were too many people? Yun Kaiu was not in a hurry. He wanted to see what she was going to do, so he squatted on the roof and waited. Until Yinchuan came to pick up Xiaomei, this guy still followed, but didn't take action. It wasn't until he turned a corner that the lower string 3 used blood demon art to shoot steel needles, trying to shoot the 2 into hedgehogs. Fortunately, Yinchuan reacted quickly and felt something was wrong. He hugged Xiaomei and fell to the side, and then dodged. Yinchuan stood up and protected Xiaomei behind him. Looking at the place where the attack came from, he saw a woman in a black kimono standing on the roof. After seeing Yinchuan, the lower third frowned and said, "Ugly." Yun Kaiu wanted to scold this person for being rude when she heard it. "Although I am the most beautiful in the world, I will not call others ugly." Yinchuan is now immune to such verbal attacks. He just wants to see what this person wants to do. His behavior just now can't be said to be friendly. The lower third was eager to eat clean food, Xiaomei after bathing, and didn't want to talk to him more, so he directly used the blood demon technique to summon a group of bats. Yinchuan could only take out a knife to chop, but there were so many bats that there would always be one or two missed. Xiaomei didn't know martial arts at all, so she could only dodge. The lower third didn't go down at all, and kept summoning bats to kill the two people. In less than half an hour, both of them were covered with bite marks. Yinchuan's hands could no longer hold the knife steadily, and his muscles ached from exerting force for a long time. He had become stronger, but he still couldn't protect Xiaomei. The feeling of powerlessness became stronger and stronger, and Yinchuan could only grit his teeth and persist. Yun Kaiyu felt that it was time to go down, otherwise the two children would be sucked dry. Urging Yu-He, Yun Kaiyu kicked the lower string 3 from behind and kicked him directly in front of Yinchuan and his sister. The pain of this kick was so severe that the lower string 3 couldn't even raise his head. Feeling that this move was somewhat familiar, Yinchuan moved his eyes away from the lower string 3 and saw Yun Kaiyu, with a pair of flowing purple flame wings behind him. Chapter 29. Yu-He condensed RC cells, hardened the Kogun and fired, killing all the bats. Seeing that upper rank 3 was about to raise her head, Yun Kaiyu stepped on her head and pushed it into the ground. I let you bully me, go eat dirt. When Xiaomei saw Yun Kaiyu coming, she threw herself into Yun Kaiyu's arms and cried like a child with the support of her parents. Yinchuan stood there with the sword in silence. Yun Kaiyu reached out and touched his head. You are already very powerful, you did a good job. Yinchuan was not comforted, but shook his head, I am too weak. If my sister hadn't come, we would definitely be killed by her. I want to become stronger. At least I have to beat this guy. It is a good thing to want to become stronger. Yun Kaiyu welcomes it very much. Do you know why she is powerful? Because she is a ghost. Although she can't move during the day, she has a long lifespan. She constantly strengthens herself by eating people and has blood ghost arts. Ghouls are creatures similar to ghosts. They can move during the day and eat ghosts. Become a ghoul. Only with more powerful power can you protect Xiaomei. But people's lifespan is very short. After becoming a ghoul, the stronger the strength, the longer the lifespan. Make your choice. The amount of information is too much, and Yinchuan's brain is a little bit stuck. If you want to have strong power, you will watch Mei slowly grow old and die, but if you are too weak, you can't protect her well. When Yinchuan was having trouble making a decision, Xiaomei asked a question, Sister Yun Kaiyu, can I be with my brother? I don't want to be a burden to him, I will work hard. Of course Yun Kaiyu agreed. It would be heartbreaking to watch this little cutie who I have raised for so many years slowly grow old. The two of them unanimously chose to become ghouls, but Yun Kaiyu did not convert them immediately. Human life is also beautiful. If you can experience it for 2 more years, you should feel it more. You won't be able to eat those delicacies in the future. With this accident, Yinchuan practiced harder, and Yun Kaiyu would also tell them some tricks of the moon breathing, hoping that the two of them could master some breathing methods. 5 years later, Xiaomei developed her own breathing method from the moon breathing, dream breathing. However, there are only 4 styles, 1 is nightmare, 2 is fear, 3 is dream, and 4 is phantom. Yinchuan couldn't learn it anyway, so Yun Kaiyu thought about it and handed him over to Komeiji, asking Komeiji to teach him and maybe he could learn something else. At about 25 years old, the two received blood and transformed into ghouls. Xiaomei's Kokubu is scale Kokubu, and Yinchuan's is armor Kokubu. The two have strong physical fitness. After transforming into ghouls, they quickly awakened blood demon arts. It may be due to the setting that blood demon arts are exactly the same as those in Demon Slayer. Komeiji and Readaloud have traveled to many places, and the Suliu Gym has become one of the largest chain gyms in Japan. Readaloud has been learning medical skills, wanting to save more people with serious illnesses like herself, and atone for her cannibalism. Zhiwazi and Disha established the largest hospitals so far to treat injuries and illnesses for ordinary people. At the same time, they used their professional convenience to purchase blood and study RC cells. But progress has been slow, and no food that can replace RC cells has appeared. However, many people with rare blood have been found, and the concentration of RC cells is much higher than that of others. Beiwa Hospital will buy blood at a high price and also send supplements. Cycle cutting leeks, grow them well. Chapter 30. After Kokushibo came back from the Infinite Castle, Yunkaiu suddenly felt the benefits of Muzan's meeting. Life is long, and once you get used to a lazy life, you will really forget a lot of things. So Yunkaiu made a list and wrote down all the things he needed to do before the plot began. The first thing to do is to find Tamayo, who is currently the only demon who has escaped from Muzan's control. Only she can help Kokushibo escape from Muzan's control. The second is the Blue Higanbana. As long as someone is found to keep an eye on Tanjiro and his family, it will be okay. Anyway, it's still early, so there's no rush. Then it's to research a substitute for RC cells. Otherwise, after destroying Muzan, ghouls still eat people, and the Demon Slayer Corps should change their target. This is why Yunkaiu rarely transforms ghouls. There are few people who eat, and even if the substitute cannot be researched, the Demon Slayer Corps can't see anything. The fourth is to find a way to learn other breathing methods. Who doesn't like to know yourself and the enemy and become stronger? After clarifying what to do, Yunkaiu felt it necessary to learn from Muzan and held a meeting. Over the years, Yunkaiu has also assimilated 3 other people. Ryamir, his father was abusive, his mother died early, and all his brothers and sisters died of illness, leaving this boy alone. When he was about to die of illness, he met Yunkaiu and was transformed into a ghoul, with the tail Kagun. Suihana Ichiharu, his whole family was killed by demons. After joining the Demon Slayer Corps, he became the stepson of the Wind Pillar, but encountered the lower string one in an operation. In order to cover everyone, he sacrificed himself and was saved by Yinchuan, but his internal organs were severely damaged and he was dying. Unwilling to die, she chose to become a ghoul. She has not eaten people yet, but she feels guilty and has never gone back to see the Demon Slayer Corps master. Kyung, born deaf and dumb, can only make a living by embroidery. Her parents were killed by demons and she lives alone. She was teased by hooligans when she went out to buy things, and was retaliated after she drove them away with a knife. With his body injured and no food, he went up the mountain to pick herbs and fell off a cliff, and was saved by Koyayaki. Unwilling to be weak, he chose to become a ghoul. There are 9 ghouls now, the strongest one is Komeiji, followed by Kakuzawa, Suihana Ichiharu, Nohaneko, Mei, Kyung, Fuza, Ryamir, and Koyayaki. Yunkaiu asked Kokushibo to estimate that except for Koyayaki who is more of a support, everyone has the strength comparable to that of an upper rank. As for the demons, the upper rank 2 is the unfamiliar Megoranami, and now the upper rank 6 has become 2 newcomers. It is said that they are a pair of twins. The elder brother is powerful, but irritable, and often quarrels with Doma. The younger brother is calm and rational. Blood demon art is the ability to copy other people or demons. Except for Nohaneko and Fuza in Asakusa, Kyung, and Ryamir in Kitago, everyone else is in Hirata. It seems that a large-scale infectious disease has occurred there. Koyayaki wants to help, and the others are free, so they follow. Large-scale disease? Will Tamayo be there? There are only 30 years left before the plot begins. Time flies so fast. 400 or 500 years have passed. Some of the people have dispersed. Yunkaiu can only write letters to pass the information to them, and then plan to go to Hirata in person. The distance is not far. If Yuhi flies there, it will take about half a day. Yunkaiu can see the scene below just from the air. On a snowy day, there are rows of corpses lying on the snow. Everyone stays at home and no one can be seen on the street. Chapter 31. At this time, 6 people were sitting in a simple room. Lian Shui, when you participate in the treatment in the future, pay more attention to a woman named Tamayo. She looks about 16 years old, and there may be a boy named Yoshiro with her. They are both ghosts. After finding them, find a way to keep them, and then notify me immediately. I want to cooperate with Tamayo. If you can't keep them, use violence to solve them, just don't kill them. When Lian Shui heard the name Tamayo, she immediately thought of the woman she met a few days ago. The smell of ghosts on her body was very faint. At that time, I thought that the two had some smell because they had contact with ghosts. In addition, Lian Shui and Tamayo were both helping patients with treatment. The two got familiar with each other and said a few words, but they just exchanged names and could not be said to know each other. Sister Yunkaiu, I seem to have seen her a few days ago. She looks very similar to what you described. She is in another infected area in Hirata. And according to her, she plans to leave after the infectious disease is under control. We should be able to find her now. As soon as the problem was raised, it was solved directly. This is a great work efficiency. Komeiji, you should learn from her. With the direction, Yunkaiu spoke more cheerfully, Liangxiu, you are so amazing. With her joining the research, maybe our C cells can replace food soon, and we won't have to eat people at that time. I'll go and see tonight, so as not to have to look for people again if they run away. Hearing that they don't have to eat people anymore, Liangxiu was also very excited. I'll go with you. I've seen her so it's easier to find her. Others also offered to help. Yunkaiu asked them to keep a low profile. Tamayo and Yoshiro are not strong in combat, and they will basically not be able to escape if they are found. As the sun gradually set, Tamayo prepared her medicine box and prepared to try the newly made medicine. If it could suppress the worsening of the disease, it would mean that the research direction was right. Yoshiro was carrying a large box on the side, which contained the things needed for sampling. The patients in this area also knew Tamayo and knew that she was a kind doctor who would visit every night and sometimes help diagnose some other diseases. After distributing the medicine, Tamayo, who was about to go back, saw the doctor like herself, Liangxiu. But there was another girl standing next to Liangxiu, who looked about 20 years old, with long white hair gradually turning purple, light purple eyes, and wearing a simple white casual outfit. Liangxiu waved and greeted, then walked forward to talk to Tamayo, while Yoshiro stared at her vigilantly. Miss Tamayo, have you made any progress in the research of medicines? Seeing that Liangxiu was asking about infectious diseases, Tamayo also let down some of her guard. One thing is that the new medicine should work in the experiment. Liangxiu followed the topic with a gentle smile on her face, then can I know the production method? I have also developed a medicine that can cure some patients with mild symptoms. Maybe it would be better to combine them. Tamayo hesitated for a moment and looked at Yunkaiu. Liangxiu quickly explained, this is my sister, Yunkaiu. She has many pharmacies under her. She can develop the best medicine and mass-produce it for distribution. I heard that you are also researching medicines, so I want to come and see. Having said this, Tamayo didn't feel any murderous intent from the two, so she took them to her home. Liangxiu and Tamayo discussed the principles and commonalities of the two medicines, and soon finalized a new plan. Chapter 32. Yunqiu only knows how to bandage medicine. After becoming a ghoul, he doesn't need to bandage anymore. San Miao is a real man again. So he knows nothing about what the two are talking about. After listening to the medical principles for more than half an hour, it felt like he was in class. Yunqiu felt that he would fall asleep if he didn't stop. Just when Yunqiu was bored and stared at Yoshiro, the two finally finished talking. Ms. Tamayo is very good at medicine and has strong research ability. My sister wants to discuss cooperation with you. Is that okay? What cooperation? It's finally over. Yunqiu sat up straight and took out the information of Beiwa Hospital from the space. This is my hospital, the largest hospital in Japan with the most comprehensive equipment and medicines. Ms. Tamayo is a ghost who can escape from Muzan's control. She must need a place to hide. Hearing Yunqiu's words, Tamayo's eyes shrank suddenly, and Yoshiro immediately stood up, wanting to take Tamayo away. I have no ill intentions, I just want to cooperate. Knowing that I am a ghost, they still dare to come here. I guess they must have some tricks. But it seems that they are not sent by Muzan. The smell is also strange. They are neither human nor ghost. While Tamayo was still thinking, Yoshiro directly attacked Rongxiu impulsively. You are the one who brought her here. Seeing that his wife was about to be bullied, how could Komeiji sit still? He kicked Yoshiro into the wall with one foot, and blood flowed all over the floor. Seeing this, other people also entered the room from outside one by one. Looking at so many people, Tamayo sighed inwardly. There were so many people outside and she didn't notice them. Their strength must be strong. Tamayo immediately agreed to cooperate. Please let this child go, I am willing to cooperate with you. Yoshiro recovered quickly, his mouth healed first, and he immediately started to talk nonsense. Miss Tamayo, don't worry about me, they are all unreasonable people. I will protect you. Xiaomei saw him like this, still talking big, and immediately started to laugh. You can't move now, and you are still talking big here, aren't you afraid of swallowing your teeth into your stomach? Yinchuan also followed up, only the strong can protect the precious people, you are too weak. After Suihana Ichiharu came in, he sat down next to Yunkaiu, raised his right hand and greeted Tamayo, and the Nichiren sword on his waist made Tamayo tremble. My husband is an upper-rank demon, I want to help him get rid of Muzan's control, do you have a way? Every word of Yunkaiu made Tamayo's heart beat hard, but she also began to think about this problem. Tamayo got rid of Muzan's control when she was extremely weak. Since she didn't have much of Muzan's blood in her body, it was relatively smooth. But for the upper-rank demons, it must not be that simple. Everyone's physique is different. The more demon blood in the body, the harder it is to get rid of it. The medicine I've developed can only change slowly within half a year. Half a year is too long. Muzan will definitely find that Kokushibo is gradually out of control. At that time, he will inject new demon blood again and go back to the time before liberation. Yunkaiu didn't want to wait, I need something that takes effect instantly. I can provide all the medicines. How long can you make it? Tamayo didn't want to help. An upper-rank demon that got out of control might be a disaster again. I don't know. Drug research requires not only raw materials, but also various opportunities. Hey? I'm looking at your ability. Tell me what God wants? Yunkaiu felt that threats might be more effective. If you don't figure it out in 10 years, I'll send the Demon Slayer Corps and you to the bottom. Chapter 33. The Demon Slayer Corps is the only organization that can stop demons from eating people. Their existence has saved many people from disaster. Yunkaiu said this just to scare people. After all, the Demon Slayer Corps is responsible for destroying Muzan. It would be too hasty to kill him like this. However, Tamayo was very impressed by this and immediately said that she would try her best. Hyakuhana House is my business. You can find them if you need anything in the future. 2 of my people are researching other things in the Hyakuhana Hospital. Go to them immediately after finishing the things here. They may be able to help. Tamayo knew that Hyakuhana House was an industry that had lasted for more than 500 years, and now it controls the bulk of Japan's economy. I didn't expect that such a large industry was actually owned by the person in front of me. After talking for a while, Yunkaiu left the room, and Yoshiro gritted his teeth and watched the bandits who destroyed the house and beat people, and then swaggered away and disappeared around the corner. Xiaomei felt the gaze behind her, and turned around to make a face at Yoshiro, which made Yoshiro's face twisted. The two worked together, and the latest and most effective medicine was soon produced. Beiwahu's powerful manufacturing industry produced a large amount of medicine and distributed it for free. Yun Kaiu had nothing to do, so he just walked around the street. Compared with the previous dullness, he was a little more lively. Just looking around, a figure suddenly fell in front of him. Hey? Is it a scam? Yun Kaiu squatted down and turned the person over. Such a familiar child. Isn't this just Lei? Lei didn't wear much, as if he had sneaked out from home. Now the ground is full of snow, and it must be difficult to lie down like this. It seems that Lei's body is not in good condition. Muzan saw his former self in him, so he took care of him so much, like his own son. After Lei was killed, Muzan was furious and cleared all the useless lower strings. From this point of view, Lei was also a poor child, who just wanted to survive, and then after becoming a ghost, he killed many people in a confused manner, but he was obsessed with the ties of his family. Yun Kaiu picked him up. He was 8 or 9 years old and looked pale and weak. Where is your home? I'll take you back. Being picked up suddenly, Lei was a little flustered. He put his hands on Yun Kaiu's shoulders and said hurriedly, I can go back by myself, please let me go. You are not wearing shoes, what if you catch a cold? Lei wanted to say something, but was quickly interrupted by a voice. It was Lei's mother. After finding the child, she was relieved and hurriedly thanked Yun Kaiu, and then wanted to take Lei from Yun Kaiu. Yun Kaiu was about 1.66 meters tall. The man in front of him looked shorter than him and not as strong as him, so he decided to help him. You probably can't hold him anymore. I'll take you back. The woman hesitated for a moment, but still agreed. After walking through several streets, she finally got to her tired home. She didn't expect that the little guy could run so far despite being sick. The woman asked Yun Kaiu to sit down and drink some tea, and Yun Kaiu also chatted with him. Is he sick? Did he go to the doctor? She glanced at the sick child, her eyes full of worry and pain. I've seen many doctors, but it's useless. Is it a difficult disease? Or a chronic disease? My sister is a doctor. I'll ask her to come and see. Maybe she can find a way to solve the problem. It was already troublesome for Yun Kaiu to send Lei back home. Now he offered to help Lei with his medical treatment. She actually wanted to refuse, but don't think it's troublesome. Treating diseases and saving lives is the doctor's duty. Contacting various patients is also helpful for medical skills. The woman also hurriedly thanked him and wanted to keep Yun Kaiu for dinner, but Yun Kaiu had something else to do and did not stay any longer. Chapter 34. After telling Liangxiu about Lei's condition, Liangxiu went to see him that night. After basic examinations, it was confirmed that he had a blood disease. Current medical equipment makes it difficult to treat blood diseases, and better testing equipment is also in Tokyo, but his condition is not suitable for long-distance travel. Coincidentally, a large infectious disease spread in Hirata, and Hiwaza decided to build new hospitals in several larger cities, including Hirata. Various medical equipment has also begun to be purchased, and they should be available within half a month. The hospital is also under construction and should be renovated in 2 months. Liangxiu explained the current situation to their family, and with Yun Kaiu's instructions, all their medical expenses were waived. In order to understand the condition quickly, Liangxiu also collected some of Lei's blood and brought it back to Tokyo to see if similar cases can be found in previous cases. Beiwa Hospital is very famous throughout Japan, and the couple also wanted to take Lei to Tokyo, but Lei's body did not allow it, and the money was not enough. Now the situation is very good. According to Hiwaza's news, Tamayo has arrived at Beiwa Hospital and has begun to participate in research cooperation. What can be done has been done, and the only thing left is a matter of time. Muzan suddenly has more meetings, or he goes to Kokushibo more often. Could it be that he sensed that his nemesis Tanjiro was about to be born? And then he felt seriously anxious. At this time, in the Infinite Castle, all 7 upper strings were present. Upper string 2, Goranami, was wearing a black ninja tights and sitting next to Muzan, which was enough to show how much Muzan loved her. Han Tengu was crouching on the side of the stairs, and upper string 5 was a blue and white jar on an empty table. As the piano sounded, a pair of twins suddenly appeared. The elder brother, Sanyul Yang, was wearing a black wave kimono. When his eyes touched Doma, he paused for a second, and then he was unhappy. The younger brother, Judai, was wearing a blue wave kimono, with a gentle smile on his face, and he looked like a smiling tiger like Doma. Long time no see, Lord Mitsuki Ryo. How is the human flesh I sent over? Is it still fresh? Doma immediately came to Judai and put his arm on his shoulder. Judai was not angry, but just reminded him, Lord Doma, you are wrong again. As if he suddenly realized something, Doma apologized and was about to put his arm on Mitsuki Ryo, but his arm was kicked and broken. Get away! The arm was instantly restored, with some cracks scattered on it. Doma was still smiling, as if he didn't care at all. But how could the 2 brothers' completely different temperaments not be distinguished? And the clothes are completely different colors. Could it be that this guy's colorful eyes are just for show? Mitsuki Ryo eats people, but he kills and eats them directly. Doma always sends people to the 2 people's mansions. The journey is long and tortured. Judai didn't feel much, after all, it was just food, but Mitsuki Ryo was very angry about this method and thought Doma was provoking. Wu Langya didn't pay much attention to the 3 people, but looked at the late Kokushibo. Lord Kokushibo has changed a lot recently. Did you encounter something interesting? Wu Langya's words were respectful, but the question was not very polite. Muzan also noticed the changes in Kokushibo. He was no longer wearing the samurai uniform he used to wear, but a purple haori with a waning moon and a full moon pattern. He also wore a pair of purple waning moon hand-embroidered earrings, which looked very much like the sun earrings seen on Tsugakoko Yoriichi. Wu Langya asked that because it was Muzan's order, and he had to follow it. Otherwise, he would not have taken the initiative to provoke this upper rank one. Chapter 35. Muzan also mentioned that Kokushibo was late for the meetings, and mentioned the earrings. This moon earring looks very similar to that person. The voice was faint, perhaps with some fear and anger. Kokushibo raised his hand and touched the earrings, as if feeling the pattern on it. My wife made it for me. When Doma heard this answer, he immediately opened his eyes wide and asked curiously, does Lord Kokushibo have a wife? Doma didn't know, but Muzan did. Kokushibo agreed to become a demon because he wanted to wait for a woman to come back to him, but she didn't show up after waiting for so long, so she must be dead. How could something like earrings suddenly appear? But he said so. Muzan's suspicion came back, and he sighed at first, it's really rare, is she the one you're waiting for? Yunkaiu said not to reveal her identity, and Kokushibo shook his head. The next sentence made Muzan feel relieved, she's just a human. But a human can actually attract Kokushibo, and Muzan feels it is necessary to control this person in his hands, otherwise the change will be too big. Human life is too short, let's turn her into a demon, and it's not impossible to have one more upper string 7. In order to get Kokushibo's consent, Muzan directly promised the position of upper string, which made the other upper strings secretly amazed. Let Yunkaiu become a demon? How is this possible? She's only 19 years old, there's no need to become a demon. Hearing Kokushibo's refusal, he also knew that he couldn't act privately, otherwise it would be more trouble than it would take to anger him. Just make the decision, my promise will always be valid. After the episode, Muzan began to issue tasks, and then it was the pyramid scheme brainwashing mode. Perhaps worried that Kokushibo would not have time to accompany his human wife, Muzan kindly gave Kokushibo a long vacation. Tamayo's research finally ended in the 5th year, and the final version of the potion had been produced. The night after taking the potion, Muzan called Kokushibo away. However, Muzan did not dare to let Kokushibo know that his control over him had disappeared, so he could only be roundabout and euphemistic. Both ghosts were acting, and it depended on who could deceive whom. Before leaving, Muzan also gave more blood, hoping to regain control of Kokushibo, but it did not work. The potion produced can make Kokushibo's own cells produce resistance factors. Even if it is controlled, it will not take long for this control to be eliminated. Muzan can only pretend that nothing happened and let Kokushibo leave the infinite city. The RC cells replaced the food and produced the first version soon. It tasted bad and the RC concentration was low, so it was really ineffective. The blue-red spider lily is still keeping an eye on the progress. In the mountains near Tanjiro's home, a forest environmental protection officer, a sinecure, has been specially established. Every day during the day, wandering up the mountain to find blue-red spider lilies, 100,000 yen a month, and those sent there are some young and strong men who sell themselves in the 100-flower house. In addition, a reward has been posted in the town, and those who find colorful red spider lilies are willing to pay a high price to buy them. Occasionally, a few red ones can be found. Later, someone found a way to secretly buy them from other places. After being warned, they handed them over to the government, and such things have become much less common. Time passed quickly, and Yunkaido felt it necessary to find the future Zaizu, Tokaido Muchiro. I don't know if the butterfly's wings will blow the twins away. But Yuichi's child was given to Iwakatsu, which is equivalent to being his biological child, right? The life trajectory was also unanimously expelled from the family. Now the time is right, start searching to see if you can find a similar woodcutter. Chapter 36. Of course, the people below were asked to go find someone, and Yunkaido still stayed at home to enjoy himself. After 4 or 5 months, Lien Shui sent a message saying that an effective drug for treating tiredness was found, and the situation was getting better. If he could be cured, it would be a good choice to let him live as a human being. After another 3 years, there was still no news about Tokaido's family, but fortunately, the blue-red spider lily was found. Tanjiro is only 13 years old now. When he went down the mountain to sell charcoal, he heard the residents' discussion about a blue flower with no leaves, only flowers. Tanjiro remembered that he had seen it, but he didn't know where he saw it. But when he heard that the price of a flower was so expensive, it was more than his income from selling charcoal for 5 months, so he immediately remembered it in his heart, thinking that he would go to the mountains to look for it when he had time. After returning home, looking at the blue flowers in the bowl, he suddenly remembered that this was the wild vegetable eaten at home. After asking his mother, he hurried to the place where he picked it, but only saw a piece of dead grass. Tanjiro only took the remaining blue petals of higanbana and hurried down the mountain and handed them to the forest ranger of Beiwa House who was responsible for the purchase. Not sure if it was true, they could only give a little money and ask Tanjiro to inform them if there was any news, and not to pick this ornamental plant privately. After Tanjiro left, they immediately sealed it up and sent it to Beiwa Hospital without stopping. After Hiwazi and Tamayo got it, they immediately started to check it. It was indeed the same as other higanbana petals, but unfortunately it had wilted and lost its medicinal properties. The news also reached Yunkaido. After searching for the higanbana for so long, it finally had a destination. How could they not be excited? But this flower does not bloom every year, and the blooming time is also at noon, and the flowering period is only a short 1 or 2 days. Since they knew the location, Hiwazi immediately found a group of people with good gardening skills and went to that mountain. Led by Tanjiro and his mother, they dug up half of the blue higanbana bulbs and left, and noted the place. When they couldn't keep it alive, they would come and get ready-made ones. They kept this matter secret to prevent Muzan from coming over, and at the same time left a large sum of money as a bonus for them to save the precious plants. How could they not cherish it? Muzan had been looking for 1,000 years, but didn't even see its shadow. Now more than 10 bulbs are being cultivated in the laboratory of Beiwa Hospital. It will definitely bloom in 10 years at most. At that time, Yun Kaiu will stand in the sun and seduce Muzan with the blue higanbana. Come here. Don't you want it? Right in front of you. Afraid of the sun? Sorry, this thing belongs to me. Yun Kaiu wants to laugh when he thinks of that scene. The flower has been found, Muzan's control has been broken, and almost all the important things have been solved, so what are you waiting for? Let's play. Yun Qiu immediately listed the stories of the protagonists in a table and found that the ones closest to the time point were Kotonoha and Doma. That's Zuzu's mother, she's beautiful and sweet, maybe she can be the pillar of the newly established entertainment company. Doma's paradise is quite famous in that area, and I don't know what he relies on to make these people believe it. Yun Qiu felt it necessary to meet the leader of the Paradise of Eternal Bliss. I heard that he is one of the most handsome men in Demon Slayer. Since coming to Demon Slayer, Yun Qiu has met people who are similar. Girls have their own characteristics, and boys. I have hardly seen any handsome ones, but the ugly ones have their own characteristics. Maybe the NPC modeling is not delicate, or maybe my vision is too high. Chapter 37. Miss, are you new here? I haven't seen you in the church before. A lady in a lotus-colored kimono came up to Yun Kaiu and started to talk to her. Then she began to introduce some of the situations of the Paradise Church, with admiration and yearning in her eyes. Since I joined the Paradise Church and became a member of the church, I feel that I have found my belonging. You can be trusted by others. People in the church help each other and continue to help others solve their troubles. Whether it is pain or worry, there are people willing to listen. The leader will share our pain. For those who perform well, the leader will give special one-on-one guidance and lead us to the paradise. These words became, in Yun Kaiu's ears. The pyramid scheme organization is not bad. Everyone is happy to trick new people into joining, and then the pyramid scheme leader will pick people to send to the west at any time. I came here because I heard others say so. No one listens to my troubles. I really hope that the leader can choose me. But this is my first time here. Yun Qiu's exaggerated performance was not seen through by the old lady, and she was comforted. Following the old lady inside, Yun Qiu saw a group of church members sitting together. There were young women and young men, but more were middle-aged people. Yun Qiu found a place to sit down and prepared to listen to the brainwashing speech of the leader Doma. Not long after, a handsome guy in a black and red tights and white trousers came over, with ivory hair, colorful eyes, and a leader hat. To be honest, this Doma is really handsome, different from the restrained Kokushibo and the gorgeous Uzui Tenjin. He gives people the feeling of being handsome without knowing it. The villain's appearance is really amazing. I thought Doma would start the speech, but it turned into a complaint meeting. From the front to the back, everyone stood up and began to tell the pain in their hearts. Yun Qiu was originally in the front, so it was her turn soon. Doma also noticed this beautiful girl. She looked delicious. Yun Qiu looked at Doma's appetite gradually increasing, and suppressed the twitch at the corner of her mouth. I don't really have any pain. My husband loves me very much, I have many friends, and my career is successful. I came to the Paradise Church just to see the beauty of the leader. Yun Qiu's words first aroused public anger, and the second half of the sentence made everyone start to criticize. What does she mean by that? Is she letting us know that we have failed? She shouldn't be here. Who brought her here? She actually said that to the leader. It's simply blasphemy. People like this should be thrown out. After arousing the anger of the crowd, Doma stopped them. Everyone, continue, I will help you solve your troubles, there is no need to be angry here. It was really boring to listen to these people complaining. Yun Qiu saw that there were more than 20 people behind him, so he stood up and walked out of the side door. Doma just took a look and did nothing. After walking around for a while, he didn't find anything strange. It was normal like an ordinary church. Turning a corner, he suddenly heard a child crying, and then there was a soft song, coaxing the child. Following the song, he walked forward to a room he had just passed by. At this moment, the door was half open, and the sun shone into the room, lengthening the figure. Although the person in front of him had some bruises on her face, it still couldn't cover up her beauty. It was the kind of gentle and soft beauty that made people feel close at first glance. Looking at the baby in her arms, she knew that he should have been born not long ago. At this moment, he had his emerald green eyes open and his little hands were grabbing something in the air, making a lot of noise. Chapter 38. With such a cute child, Yun Kai was still very happy to stay with Kai Yi. When Inashuk was young, he was really a popular baby. He was cute and active. He would never cry no matter how he played. He would always be sucked by the milk. Kai Yi usually didn't have many friends. She usually stayed with Doma or chatted with the church members here. When she met Yun Kai, she talked a lot more. The sun gradually set, and some permanent members of the church brought dinner, but only Kai Yi's portion, which was very large. Kai Yi thought that if they shared one portion, Yun Kai would not be hungry. Yun Kai didn't care much. He simply ate 2 bites and said he was full, and then continued to tease the pig. The food tasted very good. Although Doma didn't know how much humans ate and what the food tasted like, it seemed that he raised Kai Yi very well. Although it was a bit like raising a small animal. The sky was between dusk and Kaguya. Yun Kai smelled a faint smell of blood in the air, but human noses were not sensitive enough, so Kai Yi didn't notice it at all. Miss Kai Yi, I have some questions for the leader, so I'll leave first. After saying goodbye, Yun Kai put Inashuk back into Kai Yi's arms. Judging from the appearance of this little guy, he was probably hungry. Following the blood, there were fewer and fewer believers until they reached the end of the corridor, which was a confined room. His hand gently rested on the door, and the cold air in the room made the door cold and difficult to open. Taking a step back, Yun Kai was ready to kick the door open, and the door suddenly opened, and the frost covered the room. Doma, sitting on the lotus seat, squinted his eyes, with an inexplicable smile on his lips, and the girl who was half-eaten and died with fear on her face. My beautiful lady, it's impolite to walk around casually. Yun Chu walked into the room, closed the door with his backhand, and then looked at him straight in the eye. It seems even more impolite to eat people casually. Doma seemed to be stunned, and then looked puzzled. They are just food, why can't I eat them? You taste strange, will it taste better? While speaking, Doma stood up from the lotus seat, stretched out his hand to grab Yun Chu's neck, and then twisted it hard. When his hand was only half a meter away from Yun Chu, a red and black shadow flashed by, and an arm fell to the ground, and the smile on Doma's face became even stronger. I knew you were different, and you must taste different. Doma's hand recovered instantly, and there was an extra fan in his hand. With a light wave, a huge crescent-shaped ice knife with ice lotus growing on it rushed straight towards him. Blood Demon Art Lotus Leaf Ice. The biting cold air hit her face. Yun Kai bent her knees slightly, flipped forward, and then used the feather to stay in the air to fire high-concentration RC Kagun. Doma felt the sound of breaking through the air above her head, and was amazed at her speed. She quickly turned her body and avoided this round of sweeping. After standing firm, Doma immediately launched the next round of attacks. The Blood Demon Art Lotus Powder and Blood Demon Art Freezing Cloud were launched at the same time, and the air was instantly filled with white ice crystals. One after another, ice broke through the ice mist and swept over. In the eyes of Yun Kai, who had a transparent world, these were just phantoms. After flipping sideways and stepping on the wall, Yun Kai took out a sun wheel sword from the space. This was snatched from a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. It was still warm when it was just out of the oven. Moon Breathing 7 Types. Evil Mirror Moon Reflection. 6 purple lights with moonlight rushed straight at Doma. Even if he dodged quickly, one hand was cut off and a hideous wound was left on his chest. Since the wound was caused by the moon blade, it healed slowly, which made Doma alert. Are you a member of the Demon Slayer Corps? Chapter 39. Doma had only seen Kokushibo perform this breathing method. After eating so many pillars, his strength was far inferior to the man he met today. Could it be that the Demon Slayer Corps already had someone with this strength? With just 3 moves, it was clear that this person's strength was enough to pose a threat to him. Seeing that Doma still wanted to fight, Yunqiu hurriedly stopped him. I'm not from the Demon Slayer Corps, I just happened to pass by and take a look. If you keep fighting, it will be bad if the house collapses and you see it. Yunqiu had no intention of fighting him seriously. Doma looked at her strangely, then put away the fan and sat back on the lotus seat. Then what are you doing here, sir? Having not eaten enough, plus exercise and injury, Doma picked up the thigh of the girl who had not finished eating next to the seat and ate it, and the smell of blood filled the air again. Yunqiu looked at him and said unhappily, You, watch out when you eat. If the believers find out that their leader is a man-eating devil, will their faith collapse? Blood was flowing down the corner of his mouth. Doma thought for a moment and answered Yunqiu, just kill them all. They are just believers. Oh? What about Qin Yi? Are you going to kill them too? Speaking of Qin Yi, Doma felt it was a pity to kill her. It would be best if she could be kept. That little guy looks very cute. When she grows up, she can sing for me like Qin Yi. As for Qin Yi, let's keep her. She sings well and looks good. She is a very good believer. It seems that he likes Qin Yi very much. Why do you ask so many questions, sir? I've told you so many things, but I don't even know your name. Isn't that unfair? Yunqiu, my name. After saying this, he turned around and left the room. The bloody smell was too strong, and he felt a little hungry. Doma didn't stop him, because he couldn't stop her anyway. I went back and looked at Kodoha. Inashuk had fallen asleep, and Kodoha was embroidering something, which looked like a name. Did Miss Yunqiu find the leader? He's eating, but I've asked all the questions. Hearing that the problem was solved, Kodoha was happy for Yunqiu, and then shared with Yunqiu the swaddling clothes she embroidered for Inashuk. What a simple and lovely person. Doma, is he crazy? How could he do this? Sure enough, there are not enough domineering president stories. Do you know about the imprisonment play? The only thing Kodoha can't accept about Doma is cannibalism. The rest is much better than her domestic violence husband. Miss Kodoha, I'm leaving now. This badge is for you. If you need help, you can go to any of the properties under the name of Beiwa House and show them this. They will help you unconditionally. However, after only knowing each other for a day, Yunqiu gave such a precious thing. Qin Yi hurriedly declined, but was stopped. You sing very well, and Inashuk is also very cute. I would be very happy if I could meet you. Having said this, Qin Yi also accepted the badge and said that she would definitely carry it with her and keep it well. The badge is a separated Kogun trap made by Yunqiu using feather Kogun and scale Kogun. It can play the role of monitoring the surroundings. As long as Qin Yi is in danger, it can completely wrap Qin Yi, and then the feather Kogun part will turn into wings and leave from the air. It is extremely hard and Doma cannot break it in a short time, but it requires a large number of RC cells to maintain its shape and function and not dissipate. After giving the badge to Qin Yi, Yunqiu actually buckled a badge inside Inashuk's clothes and applied a concealment function, just in case. Chapter 40. The matter of Qin Yi came to an end, and Yunqiu was idle again, mainly because the search was not powerful enough and he could not find other people. However, Yunqiu's mobile phone had some problems. In theory, it should not have any bugs, and it has been used for hundreds of years. The system was updated some time ago, and it has not turned on yet. Originally, he would use his mobile phone to watch dramas and so on, but with this lag, Yunkaiu's life fun was reduced by half. Ichiharu Suihana traveled around and met several new members of the Demon Slayer Corps, but their strength was a bit poor. It seems that the size of the Demon Slayer Corps has expanded a lot, otherwise they would not meet so frequently. It was late, and Yunkaiu found a restaurant to eat. While enjoying the food, the pocket of the mobile phone vibrated violently, with a large amplitude like a bomb countdown. After putting down the chopsticks, Yunkaiu turned on the screen, and 2 prompt bars popped up, which were the functions of the updated mobile phone. Function 1, with the Polaroid function, the photos taken can be washed out directly. Function 2, the shopping function is turned on. All purchased items will be directly placed in the system space, limited to 3 times a day. The system is very popular with me. Even though I left, I still remember to help update my phone. Thank you. Yunkaiu's favorite thing to do now is taking pictures. There are millions of photos in the phone. After developing them, I make an album, which makes it much easier to find. There is also a shopping function. Although it has developed now, some things are definitely not as good as in the future, and women's nature is to buy, and buy. After turning on the phone, Yunkaiu couldn't wait to start trying it out and took a photo of the seafood sushi on the table. Then an option popped up, do you need to print? After clicking yes, Yunkaiu suddenly felt the change in texture on the back of the phone, and a small color photo appeared in the palm of her hand. Hidden, high definition, and can be printed multiple times. After putting the photos in place, I was ready to try the shopping function. There is no fancy shopping interface. There is only a red shopping software in the phone. There are no ads. You can search directly for what you want. Looking at the dazzling array of goods, Yunqiu felt that he didn't seem to need to buy anything. Flipping through the clothing and accessories column, he picked a simple side bag. After clicking the order button, the payment interface did not pop up. Yunqiu looked for a long time and tried to buy another bag, but the payment interface still did not appear. Suddenly he thought of something and checked the system space, and found 2 more express packages in it. So, it's free. He. After eating a bowl of noodles and walking out of the store, a boy ran past him quickly. He was wearing a white plaid haori and a sun-wheel sword on his waist, chasing something. He hurriedly shuttled through the crowd, kept thanking him, but did not stop. With curiosity, Yunqiu followed him. The boy walked further and further away, and finally disappeared into a forest. Yunqiu saw clearly that there were a lot of spider silk in the forest, and the smell of ghosts was very strong. It should be a ghost with blood ghost art. Seeing the spider silk, Yunqiu suddenly thought of tiredness. Lian Shui has found the best treatment. The last time she heard from Lei was many years ago, when he had recovered and left the hospital. Calculating his age, he must be almost 30 years old now, right? Putting aside his thoughts, Yunqiu stepped into the woods and used his power of deterrence to disperse the little spiders that wanted to approach. Walking in, he saw a number of white silk balls hanging up, not many in number, hanging on the top of the tree like light bulbs. Could it be that Lei turned into a ghost again? Chapter 42. As he walked inside, he suddenly heard the sound of blades clashing, and it was not far away. Yunqiu walked over to the sound and saw that the boy who had led the way just now had his head chopped off by another member of the Demon Slayer Corps. The man's movements were extremely unnatural, and the transparent world quickly saw the transparent spider silk involved. It was getting more and more familiar. Ever since Yunqiu stepped into the woods, his actions have attracted the attention of all the ghosts. He had no weapons, nor did he wear the uniform of the Demon Slayer Corps, and he didn't smell like a human. There was a vague sense of oppression on him, and everyone remained on the sidelines. Spider Dad glanced at Spider Mom with his big and small eyes. The frightened Spider Mom waved the silk thread in her hand and controlled the corpse on the ground to attack Yunqiu. looking at a group of boys and girls who stood up like zombies and ran over with weapons. Yunqiu closed his eyes, and opened his scarlet eyes again. The flame-like feathers spread out, cutting the surrounding trees in half in an instant. Flying up about 3 meters, Yunqiu condensed his horn and fired, accurately cutting off all the connected silk threads. Before Spider Mom could connect again, a sharp breath appeared in the family. Spider's sister saw that the situation was not right and immediately retreated, ready to escape at any time, while Spider Mom stared at Yunqiu blankly, her eyes full of tears. Spider Dad had no reason at all. All he knew was to kill anyone who entered the woods and wanted to destroy their beautiful life. So when the others were stunned and had no reaction, he directly waved his fist to attack Yunqiu. The punch was sharp. Yunqiu turned around and went behind Spider Dad, and 4 horns instantly pierced his body, nailing him to death in mid-air. The horns continued to absorb his flesh and blood, and after a few breaths, Spider Dad turned into flying ash and dissipated. Not only is he ugly, he also has no brains. The rest of the people were shocked by the brutal means and powerful fighting power. They thought Yunqiu was one of the 12 ghost moons and knelt on the ground and dared not look. After complaining, he looked at the people kneeling in a row. Where is Lei? My lord, Lei left yesterday. I don't know when he will be back. Originally, he just wanted to trick him, but after listening to Sister Spider, Yunqiu was sure that Lei really became a ghost again. Logically, there is no reason for him to become a ghost again after he recovered from his illness. Could it be that it was fate that Muzan met him? There is a price to pay for arbitrarily intruding into someone else's territory. As Yunqiu was thinking, a door suddenly appeared in front of him, and then Lei's voice came from the door, and a white-haired boy about 15 years old appeared in front of him. It is quite different from the appearance in the plot. It should be that the disease has been cured and he has grown up well. Oh, isn't this Lei? Don't you remember your sister? Children should speak politely. I held you when you were a child. Have you forgotten me now that you are so big? In the field, the 4 people were confused. Although Spider Sister, Spider Mom, and Spider Brother were all invited by Lei to play house games, no one really regarded Lei as a family member, and no one dared to talk to him like this. Yunqiu's neighbor sister's speech silenced the 4 people, and even Lei's brain paused. It seems I have seen this person, but I don't remember anything. Every time Lei thought of the past, he would have a headache and his heart would become irritable. Shut up. After being yelled at, Yunqiu approached and stretched out his hand to touch, but was blocked by the blood cage. Looking at Yunqiu who was unharmed, Lei was a little flustered. The only one who can resist his blood demon arts and not be harmed at all is an upper rank. Chapter 43. Yunqiu didn't care what he was thinking. This little face with a little baby fat looked very cute. He stretched out his hand and waved it, and all the silk threads turned into ashes. Yunqiu stretched out his sinful hand and rubbed Lei's head like a cat, still as cute as before. Lei originally wanted to activate the blood ghost art to resist, but found that he couldn't mobilize it no matter what. There was nothing in his body except strength. But Lei couldn't beat Yunqiu in strength. The reason why Lei couldn't use the blood ghost art was because Yunqiu used the blood ghost art ban, which was used against ghosts. The ban time was different according to the strength of the opponent. Lei stretched out his hand to stop it, but was grabbed by Yunqiu, and both hands were tightly controlled. In an instant, Lei's pale face flushed. You, don't pinch my face. Let go of your hand. Like a girl being teased, Lei turned her head away in resistance, but still couldn't escape Yunqiu's clutches. Others lowered their heads and dared not look up, shrinking in the corner to reduce their presence. Lian Shui said that your illness had been cured a long time ago. Why did you become a ghost? I don't remember. Yunqiu let go of his hand, and Lei cautiously stepped back and pulled away. Oh, Muzan is so annoying, why do you always like to erase your memories? I'll help you recover. Yun Kaiu stretched out his finger and quickly tapped Lei's forehead, launching the blood demon technique Obsession Dream. Obsession Dream can allow anyone who is hit to find the obsession deep in the soul and present it in the form of a dream, which can also be regarded as a way to find memory. Lei, who was hit, fell into a coma, and saw a piece of Snow White when he opened his eyes. I, with black hair, was only 8 or 9 years old. I fell in the snow and was picked up by the man just now. Then a familiar woman appeared, and the three of them went home together. Lei endured the headache and followed. He felt that this scene was very familiar, and the woman was also familiar, and it felt very warm. The dream flowed very fast. Lei saw Liangxiu appear at home and check him, and then he went to Beiwa Hospital for treatment. Time passed quickly, he grew up day by day, his condition gradually improved, and his family also had smiles on their faces. Yun Kaiu came to see Lei once during the journey. At that time, he was already a 13-year-old child. He looked sunny and could help with some things at home. He also had some friends of his own. At the age of 16, he was completely recovered, but at this time worth celebrating, he met Muzan. Muzan was jealous of Lei's recovery, while he could only wait to die. He turned Lei into a ghost because he was unbalanced. Lei, who lost his mind, injured his parents and ran into the mountain. He stayed in the mountain for more than 10 years, eating passers-by or the demon slayers who came to die. Until Yun Kaiu arrived here. Seeing this, Lei gasped, the sealed memories in his mind kept emerging, his hands pounded on the ground, and his dream gradually collapsed. Lei woke up with tears in his eyes, and after sitting up from the ground, he ran down the mountain. Yun Kaiu looked at his back and finally followed him. At this time, the sun is about to come out. If this kid runs around, maybe only ashes will be left in a while. Lei followed the route in his memory and came to his original home. The sound of pushing the door awakened his parents who were sleeping. The two people at that time are now grey-haired. When Yun Kaiu arrived, he saw the scene of the three people hugging each other. Chapter 44. Rei, who recalled everything, did not continue to live on the mountain, but chose to return to the foot of the mountain to accompany his grey-haired parents. Muzan has the ability to check memories, so it is very simple for him to know Rei's condition. Yun Kaiu used the blood demon art of nothingness to help Rei fabricate an ordinary and simple life. At least if you don't look carefully, you can't see any clues. Fearing that Rei would be killed inexplicably, Yun Kaiu also gave him a separated Kagun badge. Be honest and live safely until the day of the plot. Spider Mountain will not be a problem. After leaving this area, Yun Kaiu was about to return to Tokyo to see the situation of others, but he received news from Beiwa House halfway. It seems that the Tokaido twins have been found. In the Jingzhen mountain area, there is a woodcutter named Tokaido Yungxiang, who goes down the mountain to sell firewood every once in a while. Not long ago, he went to the government to register his newborn child. One is called Tokaido Muichiro, and the other is called Tokaido Yuichiro. Hearing this news, Yunqiu breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that the cute little Zaizu was still there. I thought I had dodged it. According to the map given, Yunqiu arrived at Jingzhen Mountain in 3 days. Thinking that he was going to visit, Yunqiu brought a lot of things that might be needed after production, as a way of caring for the younger generation. Yunqiu didn't want to move all the big and small bags of things by himself, so he called 3 strong men to help him move them up from the foot of the mountain. The trees on the mountain are lush and green. Now it is autumn, the leaves are golden, and a house stands in the middle. He knocked on the door, and before he opened the door, he heard a voice coming from inside. Please wait a moment, I'll be there soon. Hearing the sound of dong 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 gradually approaching, the door opened, and when he saw Yunqiu, Shi Tio Yu Yungxiang was stunned, and then asked with a gentle smile. Hello, what can I do for you? Yunqiu nodded and said, Hello, I'm Yunqiu. About 500 years ago, we were a family, but now we belong to another lineage. Shi Tiu Yungxian was a little confused, then why did you come here this time? Yun Qiu pointed to the things next to him, and then said, the family bloodline is dying out. I found you through the news channel. I have made some money in business over the years, so I plan to come and visit you. I heard that your wife just gave birth not long ago, so I brought some gifts to visit you without permission. Please forgive me. Looking at the things on the ground that were as high as a person, Shi Tiu Yungxian quickly refused, saying that they were too expensive and he was embarrassed to accept them. I bought all the things, and it took time to move them up, and I can't take them down anymore. You should accept them. It's also my heartfelt gift. Since he couldn't refuse, Yun Xiang expressed his gratitude very sincerely and invited Yun Qiu into the house. Shi Tula had recovered a little and was taking care of the two children in the house. Yun Qiu poked one of them on the cheek, and his mint green eyes suddenly filled with tears, and he burst into tears. As a result, the twins were in sync, and soon the other one started crying too. Shi Tula could only hold him up to comfort him, and Yun Qiu didn't expect him to be so crybaby. Completely different from Zhu Zhu. Yun Qiu remembered that he had bought toys for children, and he rummaged through the package for a while and found a rattle. Then he shook it to attract his attention, and the sound stopped the crying quickly. Both pairs of big eyes stared at the rattle moving, and reached out to take it, and the two brothers started fighting for a rattle. Seeing that they were going to quarrel again, Yun Qiu quickly took out another one from the package. Sure enough, buying two was a wise choice. Chapter 45. After playing with the children for a while, Yun Kaiu also proposed to leave and said that he would come again in the future. Tokaido Yungxiang sent Yun Kaiu for a distance, and Yun Kaiu asked him to go back to the house. After all, there were only 3 weak children in the family, and he did not dare to leave for too long. About half a year passed, and something happened to Kain Yi, and the Kogun trap in the badge was activated. Inashuk grew up day by day, and Kain Yi was very happy to stay in the church, but she was careful and finally discovered that Doma was eating people. Under Yun Kaiu's previous reminder, Doma had restrained a lot, but there is no wall that is impenetrable. Not long ago, Doma ate a female teacher who had a good relationship with Kain Yi. After not seeing each other for more than 10 days, Kain Yi naturally became suspicious. As a result, one evening, Kain Yi went to the innermost room of the church because Inashuk ran around and couldn't find him anywhere. The subtle sound of struggle attracted Kain Yi's attention. When she pushed open the door and secretly checked, she found Doma eating people. Kodoha was also frightened and made a noise, which was discovered by Doma. Originally, she wanted to explain, but Kodoha turned around and ran, and found Inashuk playing in the mud in the yard, and immediately picked up the child and ran out of the paradise cult. Doma followed behind slowly, explaining to her that he only ate people to free them, and it was a result that both parties were willing to. Kodoha did not stop, and finally ran to the cliff, where there was no way back. Seeing that the leader who was once thought to be gentle and compassionate was so cruel now, Kodoha fell into despair again. Holding a glimmer of hope, Kodoha jumped off the cliff with Inashuk. Doma would not let her go just like that. As soon as the ice fan was waved, Kodoha was swept up by a cold wind, but Inashuk fell down. I don't plan to eat you. Wouldn't it be better for you to stay in paradise? Your husband is so violent. I can protect you in paradise until you die. I can even help you raise the child. Why don't you understand me? At this time, Kodoha was completely immersed in the situation of Inashuk falling off the cliff alone. She looked down with tears in her eyes and listened carefully, but there was no cry of any child. At this height, Inashuk should have. Kodoha stood up and wanted to jump again, but Doma pulled her directly and lifted her up with one hand. Kodoha, stay. Kodoha struggled and beat his arm. You are a man-eating monster. I don't want to stay with you. Let go. I want to find Inashuk. What Doma hates most is that others call him a monster. At this time, he doesn't plan to force Kotoha to stay. The coldness in the palm of his hand quickly froze Kotoha's hand. At this time, a red thing appeared from Kotoha's chest and instantly wrapped Kotoha. Doma's hand holding Kotoha was cut off by the Kagun and was also wrapped in the spherical Kagun. A familiar breath, it was that person. Doma retreated cautiously and did not continue to attack. He watched the sphere in front of him grow wings like flames and slowly disappear into the sky before returning to the Paradise Church. Kotoha looked at the red ball in confusion. It was hard and had red light. Kotoha leaned against the wall of the ball and dared not move. She was taken to Tokyo by Yuhi. Inashuk, who fell off the cliff, was not hurt much because of the cushioning of the leaves. He was taken away by a wild boar not long after. Pig's journey in the mountains officially began. Chapter 46. Yunkaiu had informed Hiwaza before, so when she felt the aura of the Kagun, she released Kainyi. Kainyi looked at the two people in front of her blankly after she came out. When she knew that they were employees of Yunkaiu, she was even more surprised. Unexpectedly, she was really saved by Yunkaiu. He was able to save me from the evil ghost, but it was a pity. Inashuk. Kainyi was very grateful to Yunkaiu and the others. Hiwazi also said that she would send people to the bottom of the cliff to look for him, so that Kainyi could rest assured to recover. In fact, Hiwazi knew that Inashuk was not dead, but she couldn't tell Kainyi so quickly. Kainyi wanted to repay Hiwazi after she settled down. Hiwazi naturally did not refuse. She let Kainyi get familiar with the environment of Tokyo and made her one of the singers of Beiwa Entertainment. Occasionally, she would perform in Tokyo, and every time the seats were full. The news that Inashuk might still be alive was also told to Kotoha at the right time. Kotoha went back to the mountain several times to look for him, but there was no news, but some traces of human intervention could be seen. No Haneko said that she sent someone to watch him and let him take his own course. In fact, she was secretly paying attention to Inashuk's situation and occasionally sent him some necessities. The little guy thought it was a gift from God, so cute. 4 years later, Yunkaiu's movements were single. Go to Jingzan Mountain to see the twins. Muichiro is kind and cute, and Yuichiro is sharp-tongued and arrogant. Yunkaiu occasionally takes Kokushibo to visit. However, Kokushibo has only been there 3 times because he was worried that he would be discovered to be a ghost. Although the 2 children were afraid of his cold face, they would still call him uncle obediently. Kokushibo often looked at Tokaido Yungseong, who had red hair and red eyes and looked very similar to Yunyi. Zuzu Yunkaiu would also occasionally go to see him. The old man at the foot of the mountain would read to him, so he had some contact with people and could speak. When Zuzu was about 4 years old, his mother died, and her body rotted and maggots grew. Inashuk could only make her head into a headgear and carry it with him at all times to commemorate him. Seeing him lying on the grass crying sadly, Yunkaiu threw him a photo of Kainyi, and wrote Kainyi's name on the back, hoping that Zuzu would find his mother soon when he grows up. At present, he has only met these 2 protagonists, and Yunkaiu is not in a hurry. Everything will be fine when the time comes. He was walking on the street with Suihana Ichiharu and Xiaomei, and he heard a noisy sound. A little boy with black hair and a scar on his face was being pulled by a man. Fuzugawa Swanya struggled to escape. The boss's goods were knocked over by a cat. Seeing that he was standing on the side, he gave it to him. Swanya didn't have much money on him. His younger brother, sister, and mother were all dead, and his brother left, but he only sent money back occasionally. Xianmi has been looking for his brother, but he can only arrive after his brother leaves. This time he is late again. He bit the boss, and the boss let go of his hand in pain. Xianmi took the opportunity to run away and ran towards Yunqiu. The boss chased him angrily, shouting to catch the thief. People who didn't know what was going on followed him to help. Xianmi could only dodge with his short stature. Yunqiu saw him jumping up and down like a monkey, and his hair was also twitching, which was inexplicably funny. Just when Xianmi passed by Yunqiu couldn't help it, stretched out his hand like pulling a carrot, grabbed Xianmi's hair, and then lifted it up with one hand. Very rude. Mohua Yuking and Xiaomei saw Yunqiu's silky movements and laughed. Xianmi felt pain and fluttered in the air holding Yunqiu's hand. The boss also caught up. Thank you, young lady, for helping me catch this thief. I didn't steal anything, it was a cat that knocked it over. Xianmi immediately retorted, staring at the boss, holding Yunqiu with both hands to reduce the force on his hair, otherwise he would really be pulled bald. Chapter 47. Yunqiu put down Fushigawara Suanya. It was tiring to carry it. The main reason was that she was wearing nice clothes today. Doing this kind of action would affect her temperament. How much is the item? When the boss heard Yunqiu say this, he was stunned for a moment, and then he opened his mouth loudly, 80,000 yen. Everyone else was shocked by the price. Suihua Yuking took out her wallet from her backpack and randomly pulled out a few bills and threw them over. The boss caught it. It was only 50,000 yen. This money is not enough. I have new goods. Xiaomei looked around and pulled out a stick that supported the stall. The diameter of the stick was the size of an egg, and then she broke it in front of everyone. I think the money is enough. What do you think? The sweet smile scared the boss, and he immediately said that it was enough, and then ran away without looking back. The others also quickly dispersed. Xiaomei threw the stick back to the vendor, and the man didn't dare to speak. Suihua Yuking took another bill out of his wallet and gave it to the vendor. Life is not easy, we just have to make a living. Seeing that the three people didn't notice him, Xianmi turned around and prepared to slip away, but was hit on the head by Mohua Yuking. I spent 50,000 to redeem you, and you just ran away. Xianmi squatted down with his head covered, tears welling up in his eyes from the pain. I didn't ask you to help me. And it really wasn't me who knocked over his things. Xiaomei crossed her arms and bent over to look at Xianmi. Hey, even if we took the initiative to help you, you should say thank you properly, right? Xianmi said thank you while backing away, then turned around and continued to slip away. Xiaomei made a gesture, and when Xianmi was puzzled, he was caught again like a chicken. After a spin, Yinchuan carried Xianmi on his shoulder with one hand and carried him over. Xiaomei's tone was full of gloating. Run, why don't you run? Xianmi could only roar helplessly, you bully me. Even if the little tiger is a tiger, when it is weak, its roar will only make people excited. What's wrong with me bullying you? Do you want to hit a girl? Xiaomei provoked, but Yunqiu said, this guy really hits a girl. Unable to run away, and unable to fight, Suanya had to be taken away by the four people, and then Xiaomei came to Fuzugawa Suanya every day to make trouble for him. Suanya, I will tell my brother that you all bully me, tt. Xiaomei, your brother is here, but he can't beat my brother, so he will still be bullied by me. Fuzugawa Suanya in the plot has the ability to turn into a demon and cannot learn the breathing method. Yunqiu wants to try to change this. Then, under the pretext of a physical examination, 3 tubes of his blood were drawn and sent to Nono Hanako for research to see if there is anything special. Then, Suihana Ichiharu took him to practice the breathing method. Suanya was unwilling at first and resisted in various ways, saying that he wanted to find his brother. Suihana Ichiharu has never had an apprentice. When he was a stepson, he would be spanked if he didn't practice well. He copied and pasted it directly. Xianmi was beaten for 3 days, his hands were broken and his buttocks were spanked, and his buttocks were broken. He was stubborn for 3 days, and finally compromised. He followed Suihana Ichiharu obediently for half a year, but for some reason he just couldn't learn. If he couldn't learn, he would be beaten, and he couldn't learn even if he was beaten, which created a vicious cycle. Xianmi's violent temper made him cry, and then Suihana Ichiharu thought he didn't want to learn, so he was beaten again, and Xiaomei laughed at him for being stupid. This is even worse. Chapter 48. You hit him again. Why is he crying so much? Yunqiu looked at Xianmi rolling on the grass, crying and pulling weeds, with a lot of mud on his body, with a complicated expression. Just let him learn a breathing method. Why is it like he wants his life? A powerful and beautiful master, he doesn't even cherish him. He is really too stupid. Mohua Yuking rarely says hurtful words, most of the time he is indifferent, but this time he is really tired. Before teaching Yunqiu the breathing of the wind, it took only 2 months to practice it to perfection. After more than half a year, Xianmi can't even learn how to breathe. In contrast, it is really hard not to be angry. Forget it, maybe it's fate. If he can't teach, he won't force it. Yunqiu prepared a lot of money and daily necessities for him, packed them up and threw him out. Xianmi, who was freed for a while, was still stunned, and then said goodbye to everyone and embarked on the road to find his brother again. Yunqiu also left the place where he had stayed for a long time, and prepared to return to Asakusa to see the progress of RC food research. He was not in a hurry to travel. Yunqiu was like a tourist, walking and stopping, admiring the beautiful scenery from time to time, taking pictures and bringing them back to Zhiwazi and the others. Or he would try local specialties and listen to some local customs and stories. Kokushibo had not eaten the blue-red spider lily yet, but influenced by Yunqiu, he also traveled around Japan and looked for some powerful warriors to learn from. After a day's journey, Yunqiu found a restaurant to eat, ordered a few local signature dishes, and a few desserts, one of which was sakura cake. While eating, a family of 4 walked in. The girl still had sakura cake-colored hair, and 2 teardrop moles under her eyes were very cute. Isn't this Ganlo Temple Mitsurai? The 4 of them sat down and ordered food. Mitsurai's mother even ordered 2 large portions of cherry cakes. Her brother would also pick up food for Mitsurai. What a loving family! Mitsurai is very happy. Many people around noticed Mitsurai's appetite and talked about her heroic eating style, but Mitsurai was not affected at all when she was a child. Perhaps at this time, she thought that eating a lot was also a symbol of strength? The impolite remarks of the sumo wrestler were heard by Mitsurai's father. After the warning, he did not restrain himself, so Mitsurai proposed to arm wrestle with him. The thin arms contained great strength, which directly pressed the sumo wrestler down, and the man immediately apologized for his behavior. Mitsurai smiled and raised her hands, gesturing her muscles. Although it was not easy to see, it was extremely cute. Yunqiu did not disturb him, but just remembered this place silently and visited him often. After returning to Asakusa, I met Tamayo in the hospital. It seems that she likes her current life. She doesn't have to hide and can study medicine to cure diseases and save people. With her life and livelihood guaranteed, Tamayo is more persistent in finding a way to kill Muzan. Nohaneko also opened a laboratory for her, so that she can act on her own except for fixed working hours. Kainyi still goes to the mountains every once in a while, but she always comes up empty-handed. It can only be said that fate has not arrived yet. Time dividing line. Kokushibo is a little embarrassed at this time. His wife is fighting with someone outside, and the fight is quite fierce, but he can't help. Because it's noon now. Although Yunqiu let him stay here and he can handle it easily, Kokushibo is inexplicably sad. This feeling of powerlessness is really infuriating. Chapter 49. The story goes like this. After meeting Nobunaga, Yunqiu stayed in Asakusa for a short time and then went to other places, which happened to be on the same route as Kokushibo. The two passed by a small town and slept for a night. Yunqiu planned to go for a walk during the day, and ended up meeting Urokodakase Kanji. The red Tengu mask was very eye-catching, and Yunqiu remembered the appearance of Urokodakase Kanji described in the comics, who was too gentle and was ridiculed by ghosts. Yunqiu, who was curious, wanted to see what he looked like behind the mask, but was definitely rejected. It was said that if he won the duel, he would let himself see it, but Dakase Kanji didn't want to play such a boring game, so he refused. As they walked, they happened to arrive at Yunkai's hotel. I don't know how his nose grew, but he smelled something wrong, and then locked onto Kokushibo, who was hiding in the room. Yunkaiu blocked him from entering, fighting with him from time to time, and wasting time. Please let me in. There is a man-eating demon inside. If it runs away at night, many people will die. At this time, Dakase Kanji's hair was a little grey, and he looked quite old. He probably retired a long time ago, but he just happened to meet Kokushibo. I'm helping you, okay? There is an upper-rank demon inside, you can't beat him. Yunkaiu just waved his knife to block his attack, pulled the battle line, and chatted with him. Hearing the word upper rank, Dakase Kanji felt even more depressed. The flying crows on the side circled twice and then flew away quietly. Looking at the disappearing black spot, Yunkaiu knew that the other side was going to shake people. You are the only one who can shake people? I'll shake one too. Yunkaiu took out a small ball from his pocket with the word clear engraved on it. Throwing it far away, relying on the tracking of the blood ghost art and the high-speed flight function of the separation feather, it can quickly reach the position of Suihana Ichiharu. Suihana Ichiharu has a tail horn. Unlike the thick tail horns of ordinary ghouls, hers is more like a scorpion-like segmented tail horn, which can sense the surroundings and has merged with the blood demon art, and is toxic. The tail horn does not increase the speed much, but with the speed increase of wind breathing, it is not certain whose help will arrive first. Yunkaiu and Dakase Kanji both tacitly stopped fighting and waited for the big team to come here. With this free time, let's chat. Yunkaiu moved a stool from the store and placed it under the eaves. Then he sat on it, leaned back, tilted the stool and looked at Dakase Kanji leisurely. The two of them fought fiercely just now, and everyone in the hotel ran away. Kokushibo also came out at this time, holding a knife and standing beside Yunkaiu. Six eyes looked at Dakase Kanji indifferently, and the three words upper string 1 in it made him feel bad, and he stared at him tightly and dared not look away. Are you playing dumb? Can your two eyes beat 6? Yunkaiu crossed his arms and spoke in a familiar manner, you are very strong, are you still a water pillar now? This question made Dakase Kanji a little surprised, since you know ghosts and have some knowledge of the demon slayer core, why do you stand on the side of evil ghosts? Putting his hand on his chin, Yunkaiu tilted his head and thought for a second, are ghosts necessarily bad? As long as they eat people, they should be eliminated. It seems that good and evil are still clearly distinguished, otherwise he would not have used his life to guarantee Nezuko later. If the demon eats bad guys, will he be killed too? Dakase Kanji thought about this question, bad guys will get the punishment they deserve, but they shouldn't be eaten. This is the correct rule. Yunkaiu nodded in agreement. Dakase Kanji thought she was convinced by him, since you agree with me, let me kill this demon. He must have eaten a lot of people to become upper string 1. Yunkaiu said, no. Just because I agree with your point of view doesn't mean I will cooperate with you. After all, I have eaten a lot of people, there should be both good and bad people. Am I going to commit suicide? Are you kidding? Life is beautiful. I am just a little baby over 500 years old. Muzan is still alive. Why should I be offline first? Chapter 50. Yunkaiu's answer almost made Dakase Kanji slip, but he also understood that he was destined to get past her first today. You haven't answered my first question yet, are you the water pillar? Dakase Kanji looked quite old. Tomioka Jiguo should be only 6 or 7 years old now, and there might be a water pillar in between. I'm no longer a water pillar. I'm just a trainer of the Demon Slayer Corps, Dakase Kanji. It's fine if you retire. If you don't retire, I'll force you to retire with injuries today. Then why do you have to care about our affairs? You're not a frontline worker anymore. Why don't you just do what you should do? This is the duty of our Demon Slayer Corps. Don't let go of any demon that hurts people and protect your companions with your life. It's a very responsible statement, but also very stupid. Knowing that you can't win, you still have to call people to die. When the night comes, it's the demon's home court. There has never been an upper string that died in the hands of the Demon Slayer Corps, and eliminated the lower string to become a pillar, but there is a gap and a qualitative change between the lower string and the upper string. Only the protagonist's halo can allow them to fight all the way to the boss's house. By the way, the boss Muzan is too incompetent. He lays off employees every day, but doesn't he know how to recruit new ones? The sun moves in the sky, and the scorching sun gradually tilts. At about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the support of the Demon Slayer Corps finally arrived. The breath and breathing frequency of the other party are very similar to Suihana Ichiharu. The breathing method should be the wind breathing, and it is not too weak. The clothes are also different from ordinary team members. He should be a pillar. Another one, ancestral hair color, owl hairstyle, Rengoku Makijiro. He looks very young and full of energy. His wife Rengoku Ruka should still be alive, right? Hello. Dash. Yunqiu winked at them. The wind pillar just clenched the blade and didn't say anything, but Makijiro replied enthusiastically, hello. Don't worry, we will definitely eliminate the evil spirits and protect your safety. He is my husband, we are just passing by here, and we will leave when it gets dark. Makijiro was not angry, but said with a slightly regretful tone, I'm so sorry, he may have to stay here forever. Yunqiu wanted to talk nonsense. He had never met a few important people before, and now he met 2 of them, so he had to chat. If possible, Yunqiu also wanted to visit Rengoku's house and see if he could cure Rengoku Ruka's disease. Such a tough, gentle, and beautiful mother, who would be willing to let her die. As a result, the navigation came back, and Yunqiu reached out and grabbed the small ball floating beside him and put it back into space. Mohua Yuking felt the breath disappear, locked the direction, and jumped to the roof of the hotel. The airwave attracted the attention of the 3 pillars. Mohua baby, you are pretending. The wind pillar was obviously stunned. With such a strong control, the wind around him seemed to flow around the short-haired woman in front of him, and the corners of her clothes swayed with the wind. This person is a very strong inheritor of the breath of wind. Yunqiu waved at Mohua, and then pointed at the dumbfounded wind pillar and said, Mohua, you are finally here. You have the same breathing method. He is still the wind pillar. Didn't Xianmi make you angry some time ago? Practice with him. Indeed, the failure of teaching made Mohua Yuking feel very frustrated. He stayed in the room and didn't go out during this period. Isn't this sandbag here? Mohua Yuking jumped off the roof lightly and pulled out the sun wheel sword neatly. Mohua Yuking, please teach me.